Welcome everybody. I'll call our regular public council meeting for Monday, May 3rd, 2021 to order. First thing, new business. We'll start with Deputy Mayor.
Thank you and congratulations.
Congrats. Councillor Martin.
Thank you.
Councillor Rowe.
Thank you.
Councillor Thorne-Gaz.
Thank you.
And Councillor Pollard.
Thank you.
Wow. I'm going to do one too. Councillor Glant sends his regrets. And thanks from me. All right. Could I get a motion to adopt that agenda, please, as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Remind residents that due to COVID, we're still closed to the public. However, if you do have questions for our Q&A session, either one before, at the start of the meeting, or at the end of the meeting, you can send them in to apickout@torbay.ca, and we will try our best to answer them during the council meeting. I have two for tonight. One that was, I got one in that was sent to me directly, so I'll just deal with that one. I'll forward it to you after. And another one. So, moving on. We have a public council meeting minutes for April 19th, 2021. Could I get a motion to adopt those, please?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. Any errors or omissions? See none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Proclamations, presentations, Q&A. So we have a proclamation here from the Women of Hope, Ovarian Cancer Newfoundland, World Ovarian Cancer Day, May 8, 2021. And Councillor Roach has that. Councillor Roach, take it away.
Thank you. Whereas the Canadian Cancer Society estimates that 3,100 females were diagnosed with ovarian cancer in Canada in 2020, and that an estimated 1,950 females died from the disease. In Newfoundland and Labrador, there were 50 females diagnosed and 35 died from ovarian cancer. Whereas the American Cancer Society estimates in 2021 that 21,410 females will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer in the United States, and an estimated 13,770 females will die from this disease. Whereas ovarian cancer is the most fatal gynecological cancer in the world, and yet the survival rate of females diagnosed with ovarian cancer has not changed in 50 years. Currently, more than 600,000 females around the world are living with 5 years of an ovarian cancer diagnosis. Whereas early detection of the disease remains the best way to save lives, however, there is no reliable screening test for ovarian cancer. Symptoms include abdominal pressure or bloating, digestive problems, excessive fatigue, frequent urination, and changes in bowel habit. Ovarian cancer also can affect a female of any age, including children. The youngest presently is 2 years old and diagnosed at a stage 3 ovarian cancer. Whereas the Women of Hope Ovarian Cancer Newfoundland group was created in 2016 and now has over 23,000 members, 2,300 members worldwide. The group's mandate is to offer support for affected females, their families and friends, and to raise awareness for ovarian cancer and encourage the TEAL movement.
Therefore, Therefore, be it resolved that I, Craig Scott, Mayor of the Town of Torbay, together with our Town Council, do hereby proclaim May 8, 2021 as World Ovarian Cancer Day. So moved. Councillor Roach, did you have
Second.
anything that you wanted to speak on that, or?
Well, this is why, so, my mother died from ovarian cancer, and to think that somebody at 2 years old, you know, is very emotional to me, because I know what she went through. And it brings back a wonderful, strong woman done away with like that. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
If we weren't into COVID, I'd get up and give you a hug.
I know, darling, but but you have to see, because it's a horrible, horrible disease.
Anybody else have anything to say on this one? Go ahead.
If I could, I just wanted to say thank you to Councillor Roach for reading that out. And one of my best friends is a survivor, and this hits close to home. And I received a correspondence from one of the councillors in Mount Pearl, Councillor Isabel Fry, asking that Torbay lighted up teal on May 8th. And I'd like to extend a thank you to Mayor and to Acting CAO, Anne Pico, for making that commitment to light Torbay up teal, because it's a sign of hope for so many who are dealing with this disease. And one of my girlfriends, she was dealing with her mother with cancer, and weeks later was in surgery herself because she had the same thing. So it's not something that you expect, and it hits close to home. And I think it's really important that we acknowledge this, and that we show that support to the community. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I guess I'll just have a couple of words, and I know that this particular proclamation is something now we've been doing for a few years. I know that we also support Bells with Balls. Tara Power sent this nice card along a little while ago, thanking us for our donation that we made. And I would also like to acknowledge that our friend, certainly a friend to the town, Susan Glenn, who used to come here and do these proclamations with us. She is still battling with her ovarian cancer, and she's currently in hospital, and she's she's a strong woman, and she's fighting this. So I would like to send our best to her tonight too, and I'm sure she's watching, or she'll hear about it, because she keeps up on what's going on in Torbay, and she thanks us for our support for her organization. So I just felt that I'd like to mention that. She's been a friend to us, and we try and be a friend to her.
Yes.
So with that, I'll say all in favor.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried. Thank you very much. And we have a proclamation for mental health. The proclamation for 2021. Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. Whereas mental health is an essential part of everyone's health and well-being, whereas Mental Health Week has been hosted by the Canadian Mental Health Association in communities across Canada for 69 years, whereas all people in Canada need to promote, protect and nurture their mental health, and whereas promoting social connection is an important aspect of human life and an effective way to protect mental health. Whereas in these days of COVID-19 pandemic, our community members may be experiencing further difficulties maintaining their mental health. And whereas in these days of social distancing, we as a community are experiencing great challenges to maintaining our social connections. And whereas the municipality of Torbay has a responsibility to promote mental wellness, particularly at a time of increased social distancing and social isolation.
Now therefore be it resolved that the town of Torbay do hereby proclaim the week of May 3rd to 7th, 2021 as CMHA Mental Health Week. I encourage all citizens to join me in underlining the importance of social connection for mental health. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Comments? I think that, and I say this all the time, when we do these proclamations, how important they are. You know, everybody particularly in the last year, have been dealing with mental health issues, maybe if they didn't even know that they were, you know, so it's the type of thing that creeps up on you over a period of time, and certainly I think that the more awareness we raise about this and the stigma that gets removed from it is the better for, certainly for the residents of our town and for our province and everybody in general, so I think it's, I'm proud that we're able to do this. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. All righty. Presentations. Not very often do we have presentations now because of the COVID, you know, so it's, I think it's fitting that we're able to do this one here tonight. So we have a presentation, and for one of our long-time employees who just recently retired last weekend. You know, retired last week after almost 28 years with the town. And I'd like to congratulate you first, and thank you for the number of years that you put in, and the time, and your dedication to the residents of the town and to the town in general. And I guess on behalf of council, and council can speak for themselves, I just want to say thank you very much. And I know from my own personal experience with you over the last 7-8 years that I've been here, you've been very helpful to me whenever I ask a question, and you know, your wealth of knowledge, and it's sad to see that go, but I'm glad that we're able to tonight, within our current restrictions, be able to invite you here to present you with a gift from the town, and we'll do that now in a minute. Does anybody else have anything that they'd, do you want to say?
Yes, I'd like to personally thank you too, Ed, because over the years, you know, you say something to Ed and he'd do it right away, or, you know, he'd pass it on and everything like that, and you have a great rapport with everybody, with, you know, and sorry to see you go, but I'm sure you're going to be taking off now with yourself and Rita, and to enjoy the rest of the part of your life, right? She don't wear you out. Say hello to her for me, and God bless you.
Yeah, I'd also like to say thanks for your service. It was great getting to know you since I was my first term, but it's great getting to know you, and the chats we have at different socials and whatnot, and thank you for your service. Certainly big shoes to fill for your successor for sure. Thank you.
Can I go ahead?
You go. Go ahead.
I'm going to go right ahead. Mr. Ed, I loves you, and it's just that simple. And you know, I couldn't be happier for you to enjoy your retirement. We are going to miss you. I'm going to miss you. I'd be walking up the street, and the truck would go, and I'd look for you, because it was every time I see you, from the time I've met you to this minute right now, I've always loved to see you coming every single day. And back so far as looking at one of the videos I saw on YouTube of the fine dancing and the skits and shows that were here in Torbay long before my days in Torbay, and some of the coolest stuff I've ever seen. And all I've ever known you to be is a community-minded, amazing person, sir. And I'm going to miss you here, but I'm very happy for you, and I wish you the very best in your retirement. And I don't have enough words to tell you how much I appreciate you. And it's just that simple. So as much love to you as I can send from here to there. And I'm coming by for a cup of tea at some point. You can tell Rita. Thank you. And I just want to let you know that you are appreciated, and I love you dearly, and I wish you the very best. You're welcome.
Good. Tony?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks, Ed, for your 28 years of service. You must be a man of great patience, I'd say. 28 years in one spot, I guarantee you. I'd be driven crazy. I just wish you all the best in your retirement, and you know, hope you get a chance to do all the things that you wanted to do during the daytimes. One thing you got to do, you got to come back for those games of darts. Sure, right? So don't forget those, right? Best luck to you, thanks.
So I had a little spiel last week at our last council meeting, but without repeating anything that was already said, I just want to personally thank you. Taking myself a piggy, I mean, there must be something in the, well, where we're sitting.
In the water.
Anyway,
the
And Eddie's
Boobly.
been around, I guess one of the few who's been around longer than what I've been here. And there's a wealth of knowledge going out the door. And I guess I know that in talking to some of the people that's up there, your colleagues, that you've been a mentor to many. And I just want to wish you all the best. I remember he brought it to my attention here a while ago. It was something that we were waiting to get done, and it was before Brian's time. And I do remember when he brought it to my attention, I said, Jesus, get him to go in and do that. He'll do that no problem. The next day it was done. So, and I guess it's probably from the old school that you get some people that will come in and they do a bit extra. I know when we had the Swallers days and what have you, time in Torbay. And when I was dealing with recreation, that was the first thing I would say to Tina, was able to, and maybe I'll just make that happen. So you will be missed.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, we know that you're busy.
You'll be back next week.
And it's true, like what Tony, Councillor Pollard just said, it's unusual today for somebody to be in the same career for any length of time. Because the majority of people today will be going from one career to another. And the fact that you stuck it out for 28 years, something to be said about that. So, thank you.
All right, so it's funny, when, I was in my office and Ed came in to give me his letter for council, I still have it in there, just to advise us that he was going to retire. And I think the first question that came out of my mouth was, is Rita retiring too? Because, she's also a mainstay around here at the town hall,
Yes,
doing
my
the
God.
cleaning, and she certainly lifts my spirits when I come here, and I'm sure that she lifts yours too. So I got a gift here for you, Ed. And did you have anything that you wanted to say? Did you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to say,
Yippee.
thank you for giving me the chance to work these 28 years. And like I said, if there's anything you want to know about anything, don't hesitate to call me, or a phone call away. And if there's anything I can do, like I said, from a concert right up to this, I'm there. So even though I'm gone, I'm here.
I hear you, and we appreciate that. And I know that I've stopped into your house a few times for a cup of tea, and I'll continue to do that because it's on my way home. But,
Let me know where you're from so long you're home.
but the next time I'm coming, I'm going to be bearing gifts. My own personal gift for you. So, I have this on behalf of council and staff. Did you want to open it? Look at it?
Yes. Yes, Piper wants to see what it is.
Never used to be fancy.
It's upside down, I think, Craig. Is it?
Let's turn over and see what it says there. So it says, presented to Ed Brennan, thank you for 27 years of dedicated service to the town of Torbay, April 28, 2021. Best wishes on your retirement for Mayor Thomas's staff.
Thank you very much.
So that's just 27. All right, everybody.
It's beautiful. Yep. I had to do that. I agree. Hillsides of Torbay.
All righty. That's it, sir?
Anyway, like I said, if you want me at any time, don't hesitate to call.
I know. Thank you very much.
You know where it is.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right.
Good luck to you now. God love you. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. Moving on, another presentation. So tonight, we're going to have the announcement of our 2021 Torbay Business Awards. And these are like they're hid away like the Grammys. Nobody on council had any input into the selection or the nominations or anything like that. So it's completely an independent process, which is nice. And I got some. I'll start off here, and I will say that our presentation this evening includes the celebration of the Torbay business through the Torbay Business Awards program. This program provides opportunity to recognize the best of the best in Torbay business. We acknowledge and recognize all businesses in our community, the strides that they've made, and the dedication and commitment to their customers, this community and the region, both before and currently and during the COVID-19 pandemic. This pandemic has challenged even the strongest and toughest and most successful. It shook all of us in every aspect of our life right now. It's taken us to a place where words like resilience, pivot, and yes, even Zoom have become part of our daily conversations. Businesses in particular have faced and continue to face challenges onset by the pandemic, and this past year has been difficult for many. We envision in time a formally planned award ceremony where a nicely prepared meal, entertainment, and speeches occur, with all nominees attending, and where we can socialize safely. Alternatively, as we practice safety measures to help fight the spread of COVID-19, we are delighted to move forward with celebrating the Torbay Business Awards during this evening's council meeting and by shining a spotlight on the awards program and announcing the winners. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Awards Selection Committee for their assistance in selecting the winners of this year's awards. The committee was made up of external persons outside of the Town of Torbay staff and council, and we appreciate each member reviewing and evaluating all the nominees. Thank you to all who nominated the Torbay business and or not-for-profit organization, as well as those who have been nominated. Following this evening's announcement, within the next few weeks, all winners will be contacted to arrange a time for a photo opportunity and to receive their award. Photo will then be posted on the town social media channels and on the website. So moving along, tonight's Business Awards program recognizes and highlights a number of categories, including New Emerging Business Award, Customer Commitment Award, Not-for-Profit Excellence Award, Youth Entrepreneur Award, Economic Impact Award, and Business of the Year Award. We are happy to announce that a total of 9 nominations were received for the 4 to 6 categories representing 5 businesses and organizations. In addition, a new award has been added to the program called the Town Choice Award. This award represents diversity, leadership, and innovation by a Torbay business represented by either a group or an individual. Without further ado, let's begin the announcements. At the beginning of this council meeting, each member of council was provided an awards information package. We have not seen or read the information prior to now. There are a total of 5 awards to announce along with the Town Choice Award. There are 7 council members here this evening, well, 6 actually. Not everyone will get the opportunity to present, and the councillors were chosen at random. So, Councillor Martin, please proceed with the first award.
Definitely at random. Thank you. The Customer Commitment Award is given to a business that delivers consistent, superior customer service and commitment to their patrons. Businesses can nominate themselves or others can nominate a business. The nominee for the Customer Commitment Award are Think Outside the Box and Foodland Torbay. And the winner of this award is Think Outside the Box. Think Outside the Box, a crafted gift shop that sold 100% Newfoundland Labrador handmade local crafts and gift products, owned and operated by Ray Whittle. Think Outside the Box supported and brought awareness to over 100 crafters and artisans of their own unique products and creations that were displayed and sold. Customers are greeted with a warm welcome and a smile. Everything is displayed in the best possible way, and Ray has been observed taking the time to explain the significance of each unique item to interested shoppers. Ray has been known to open his store outside of operating hours to cater to a request, flexed his time to meet the needs of visitors, and has always welcomed every customer both in-store and online over the phone with a modest manner. His commitment to customers is noted to be extraordinary. Congratulations, Think Outside the Box, and although they very recently announced that they are no longer in business, we are very thankful of Ray and his business, who've truly set an excellent standard in customer commitment in Torbay. Congratulations.
All right, thank you. It's Ray White. White. No worries. Councillor Thorngoss, did you want to read the next one, please?
The new emerging business award is given to a business in Torbay that has been in operation for less than 3 years and has made a significant impact on the community and shows promise to continue its success in the future. We received 1 nomination of this category that met the award criteria, and the winner of the new emerging business award is Polish Studio. Polish Studio is a newly opened salon offering an exceptional service in hairstyling, nails, and many forms of aesthetics. Owned and operated by Mcgraw, Polish Studio is the realization of a lifelong dream of Kim to one day own her own salon. In the fall of 2019, Kim opened Polish Studio in Torbay, and since then her salon has expanded to have 4 dedicated staff and an endless number of committed clients. Kim and her team bring fresh ideas and experienced talents to Polish Studio and have a positive mindset for all their customers to have a pleasant experience. The evidence of becoming an impactful new business shows through in the long list of returning clients as well as outgoing interest of new customers who have heard about the exceptional service others have received there. Congratulations, Polish Studio, for winning the new Emerging Business Award.
Congratulations. It's intact for that one. All right, Councillor Pollard, you can carry on with the next one.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is the Not-for-Profit Excellence Award, which is given to an organization that contributes to the economic, social, and/or cultural well-being of the community of Torbay, resulting in significant social impact. Organizations can nominate themselves or can be nominated by someone else. The nominees for the Not-for-Profit Excellence Award are Torbay Folks Art Council and the Northeast United Soccer Club. And the winner of this award is the Northeast United Soccer Club. The Northeast United Soccer Club is a community club that believes everyone should have the opportunity to play soccer. They are a group of individuals dedicated to the promotion of the sport of soccer within Torbay and organize year-round soccer programs for both adults and children, as well as offer a range of opportunities for all skill levels and involvement. The Northeast United Soccer Club partners with the Canadian Jumpstart program to ensure that financial obstacles do not prevent children from participating, and they continuously promote a love for soccer and empower their participants to lead both a mentally and physically healthy lifestyle. Their games and sessions bring community together, creating social connections and special bonds within and throughout the community, and their dedication and continued service through sport is a strong example of not-for-profit excellence. Congratulations to the Northeast United Soccer Club for winning the Not-for-Profit Excellence Award.
All right. All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to read this out for Councillor Gallant. I just wanted to note that I wasn't supposed to be on the list of presenters tonight, and just flag that I am the still current chair of the Northeast United Soccer Club. So just to be sure that residents know, I did not know this was happening until I walked in tonight and went, what is this? So for Councillor Gallant, I have the Business of the Year Award. It is given to a business in Torbay that exemplifies an all-around excellence in business, as well as a significant contribution to the community. The nominees for the Business of the Year Award are Think Outside of the Box and Foodland Torbay. And the winner of this award is Think Outside the Box. Think Outside the Box opened in 2017 and has partnered with over 100 crafters, artisans to support selling their products and bringing awareness to such unique culture that we have here in Newfoundland, Labrador. Everything from knitted goods, painted rock art, woodwork, seasonal goods, vintage collections, Labradorite and sealskin, and much more. The array of unique and quality handmade goods is exceptional, which took commitment and dedication in building and sustaining relationships and partnerships with all the providers and showing exemplary customer service to all. Owner and operator of Think Outside the Box, Ray White, also operates a U-Haul rental outlet at the same location. Ray recognizes a need to support local residents in Torbay and surrounding areas for service that would help ship items to and from locations such as moving into a new home in beautiful Torbay. It was noted that Ray is honest, humble, forward-thinking, and innovative, and that this shines through in his business. In addition, Think Outside the Box has supported the community through donations to various events and initiatives and participated in external workshops, markets, and sessions when requested. Congratulations, Think Outside the Box, on winning the Business of the Year Award, and although they very recently announced that they are no longer in business, which breaks my heart, we are very thankful to Ray and Ted and your business, and welcome and wish you the best of luck in your new endeavors. And I just want to speak personally because I am and have been a client of Think Outside the Box, and I have family that comes from the mainland who looks to go there, so they're going to be upset to find out the boys aren't there anymore. But they're fabulous and beautiful, and their contribution to this town has been very much appreciated, and that's it for me. So thank you.
All right, thank you. And clap, clap. So it's funny, when you go places in this province, how the connections that you make. So last year I was in the New West Valley area and staycation, whatever you want to call it, with my family. And I stopped in this little craft store. They had coffee there and stuff, so I stopped in to get a coffee. And I was looking at the guy there. I said, man, you look so familiar, right? And here he turned out to be Ray's brother, who also has a very similar business up there in that area. Mm-hmm. And I was looking, he said, I got a brother Ray. I said, Think Outside the Box in Torbay. He said, yes. I said, oh, okay, now. So we made that connection. Mm-hmm. And I know that, they did some nice things over there, too, to support local artists. And even students at the high school who had drawings and stuff that they wanted to sell, they could bring them over there and put them up and sell them. So it was a really good community partner and type of business that you'd really like to have. And I would suspect this pandemic really had a toll on them, with that type of business. So, congratulations to them, and also, heartfelt, I don't know what the word is, but, good luck. And it's too bad that you had to close up, but.
Hopefully they'll come back after.
Yeah, hopefully. You never know.
Yeah.
So I have one here. It's called a Town Choice Award. And, thank you, councillors, for sharing the information and announcing the winners. The town values all Torbay business, and we encourage everyone to shop and support local. All those winners, there was also other people that were nominated, and they were also great businesses. Foodland, for instance, was very helpful to us during this pandemic, and back in the when we hit Snowmageddon, Irving, all these companies around here really stepped up for the residents, and it should not go unnoticed. So, as mentioned, this year marks the edition of the Town Choice Award for Business Excellence in Torbay. The Town Choice Award recognizes and celebrates a business or an individual that exemplifies a strong record of exceptional generosity through gift-in-kind financial support or through significant volunteer time towards community initiatives, has encouraged and motivated others in the business community, has an active interest in civic, cultural, social welfare of the community, shows dedication to customer service with outstanding accomplishments, has a high standard for quality of product or service, shows innovation and creativity in business, has proven business sustainability and or growth, is a true trendsetter in recognizing a new market, product, service, or opportunity. The Town Choice Award is being presented to the Hogan family for their 50-plus years of business in Torbay through District Drugs. In the early 1960s, Jack Hogan moved to Torbay from St. John's. As a young licensed pharmacist, he recognized the demand for a pharmacy in the area. Using all the money he had, he opened District Drugs on June 17, 1963. At that time, approximately 1,800 people lived in Torbay. District Drugs operated 7 days a week, and the first full-time pharmacist was hired in 1976. Over the years, Jack invested in the business, expanding and adding various inventory and services. Much to the success of his family business, he was made possible through the support of his wife Elizabeth while raising 4 children together and investing back in the community as much as they could. District Drugs has supported Torbay, not just from a business standpoint, but through many community events, sponsoring sports like minor league hockey, softball league, endless school initiatives, a scholarship program at Holy Trinity High, and involved in auctions and donations to local groups and community functions. They've even delivered medicine and products to those in need long before the pandemic. The list goes on. Members of the Hogan family have worked at District Drugs over the years. His son Keith took over District Drugs in 1995 when Jack retired, maintaining the extraordinary service and family-oriented business that District Drugs became known for. The business also has a history of long-standing employees, some of them working there for over 30 years and happy to be considered part of the family. Recently, a new owner-operator has taken on the business, and the Hogan family felt like it was the right decision. The right person at the right time to continue the positive reputation and community-minded business that District Drugs in Torbay. Congratulations to the Hogan family on receiving the Town Choice Award. I think that many of us noticed when, or have had dealings with or experiences with Jack Hogan and Keith and their whole family over the years. I know that when I first started playing ball, I was on the O team. That was the one that had District Drugs, 2 Ds on the front of the shirt that looked like O's, and that was kind of a running joke, I guess. But, you know, many evenings I sat in their house over there where the store was downstairs, and they drove me to hockey and took me places that I probably wouldn't have been able to go. My parents were working, and there were opportunity for me to be able to hitch a ride and go to a hockey game with Michael. We played hockey together. We went to school together. So this award, and I had presented Mr. Hogan with a letter and a gift from the town a number of months ago, and you know, I was happy to do that on behalf of council and the town and residents. And this is certainly I guess a fitting tribute to Jack and his family, and you know, I wish them all the best as they go forward. And I also wish the new owner of District Drugs all the best. I know that he's a community-minded individual too. I met him, and he's a very nice guy. So we're
Could
lucky
I
to have
add
him.
something
Go
to
ahead.
his dedication to the community, okay?
You can.
When I first
Can you
came,
speak to your microphone?
sorry.
Sorry.
Yes, I'd like to add something very important. When I first came to Torbay, my children were small, and you know, going back and forth to hospitals and doctors and stuff like that. And one of my sons has asthma, had bronchitis, and I had to get him out to the hospital, and they wrote a doohickey and all that stuff, and no drugstore opened in Torbay, right? We're on the way down past the drugstore, because I would like to support local business, and I know how good they are. And I phoned Mr. Hogan, and he met me down to the drugstore on a Sunday and filled a prescription And I mean, who'd do that, you know? That's how much dedication he had to the people. And that's how much dedication I got for them, because they would do that for anybody. And I never forgot it. So,
It's
they
nice.
well deserve it.
It's a nice story.
It is, and it's true.
Okay, congratulations. All right, so that wraps up the Torbay Business Awards program for another year. Nominations will be open in the fall this year for the next award program, and we encourage both businesses and residents to nominate. And we are fortunate to have many outstanding businesses and services within our community, and the nomination period is our opportunity to formally recognize their hard work and commitments. I think I would really encourage people to, if you have a business that you deal with on a regular basis, or even once that really was outstanding to you, you know, please jump up and celebrate them and bring them forward and nominate them, because just even through this nomination process, more people will learn about the business, and I mean, that's what we want to do in Torbay.
That's right.
I also want to bring your attention to an upcoming new award, and in partnership with the town of Flat Rock and the Torbay Volunteer Fire Department. So this one is the Chief Mcgraw Award. It's intended to become an annual award, will be presented to grade 4, 8, and 12 students who are residents of the town of Torbay and or Flat Rock. This award will be presented to students who best exhibit characteristics of leadership, commitment, community involvement, dedication, and selflessness, but also being involved with various community groups and devoting time to volunteer initiatives. If you or someone you know would be interested in nominating an individual for this award, the complete list of qualifications for each age group and nomination packages will be released on both the town website over the next couple of days, and how to submit a nomination will also be available. The deadline for nominations is going to be May 21st. This is something that I guess we thought up probably almost a couple of years ago now. It might have been on the 45th anniversary of the fire department, and Chief Mcgraw has been there since day one. So when you think about that, and they just recently celebrated 47 years, you know, he exemplifies what it means to be volunteer within our community, I think, and I think this was a great initiative that we came up with, and you know, I think that anybody that receives this award, I know that you know, when you're a student in school and you get these awards, you remember them for a long time. So that is that. So here we go. We're finished with those. Does anybody have any additional comments that they'd like to make about any of that? No? All right. So Q&A. So we haven't even got into our business yet. So I got a couple of questions. I got one question that came in as an email, and they asked that it would be read out as a question for the Q&A tonight, and I will do that. And it's from Robert and Melissa Koish, 16 Bournes Close. Torbay Town Council. In follow-up to a Town Council meeting of April 19, 2021, we'd like to take this opportunity to ask some questions related to the motion passed to swap green space and create new residential lots and build a walking trail in Kennedy's Brook Subdivision. As the primary residents of 16 Bournes Close, we're disappointed to learn of the decision and have several questions that we would like addressed. We are not engaged nor aware of the proposed changes. When we purchased our land in 2014, we purchased it based on the location and backyard privacy. The land that is located between the end of our property line and the property that is located behind us was dedicated 15-meter wide river reservation between Kennedy's Brook and our property. Our understanding of the decision made on April 19 is a walking trail on the river reservation and will have a significant negative impact on our family's privacy and the comfort and safety we have enjoyed since moving to Torbay. We purchased this land based on the aforementioned recitals of the boundary descriptions. That said, we would like the following questions answered. Was there public engagement on these decisions? Was this part of the Torbay master plan? And is the environmental assessment required given this river reservation? If so, was one completed and documented? If this river reservation federal, provincial, or municipal jurisdiction? Furthermore, request that you reverse the decision to build a walking trail. We look forward to hearing from you and finding a solution that meets our needs of the community and its residents, including our family and neighbours, that make it a beautiful place to live. Kind regards, Robert and Melissa Coyce. I do have some information that I can provide, but what we will do is this has already been forwarded to our planning committee and our planning staff, and they will do up a more robust, I guess, answer for this. So just short to the, was there a public engagement on these decisions? No. This decision was considered an amendment to an existing subdivision agreement for Phase 1 Kennedy's Brook and did not require public engagement. It is common for municipalities to use river corridors, buffers for walkway and recreation development. However, Council acknowledges your letter and the concern you have and is forwarding to the Planning Committee for review and a response. So that is answer to part of your question. Was this part of the Torbay Master Plan? So if you're referring to the Torbay Recreation Master Plan, that was developed, I guess, prior. It was adopted in 2009, actually. And so since 2009, a large number of developments have occurred, and Torbay has grown, including development of that subdivision and Jackburn Arena, etc. So it might not have been, it wouldn't have been identified on that plan. And is an environmental assessment required, given this river reservation? The property up to the river is currently actually, it's owned by the developer. It's privately owned. So that's part of what's going to be conveyed to the town, so then the town will own that piece of land. A permit to construct a walkway will be required from the Provincial Water Resources Division because it is within the 15-meter buffer of the river. And again, a formal response will be sent to you from our planning committee. One thing I would add, though, it's not unusual for us as a council or any council actually to put trails and walkways within the river reservations. We've been doing that in Forest Landing, and we have other ones planned for other areas of the town. And you know, once they're done, sometimes when people raise questions about that, I know that there was a question raised about the one that we put in Forest Landing last term of council by a resident that lived right on the edge of the trail, and I think those issues were addressed. I don't know if there's going to be a tree buffer down there. I don't think there is, but
Question?
the planning department can look at it.
Even though you own your land, my understanding, I don't know about out there, but I know because we're bordered on a river as well. Even though we own the land right up the hill on the other side, we have to allow anybody who wants to walk through our land, or because of the conservation.
Yeah, that depends in different areas. There's different rules,
I guess
right?
it probably would, so I don't know how that would be affecting there, but it seems like something like that might happen.
All right, so the planning department is going to look at that email that was sent and get back to them with a more formal response and a bit more details. So to that, I got another one, and this one comes from Melissa Milley. And she asks, hi Craig, myself and some residents are looking to find out if we can have a community cleanup. In the past, we were able to place garbage bags on the side of the road after picking things up in a ditch, and bags will be picked up by the town. I've participated in similar days in other communities such as Flat Rock. The amount of garbage along Marine Drive and Man's Lane, possibly from high school students on lunch breaks, and due to the amount of takeout convenience stores in the area is accumulating. So, Melissa, we will forward that on to the Public Works Department, and they'll have a look and figure out if we can put something in place to plan. I know that we've done that in the past. I drag my daughter out every year to go, clean up the ditches on Balleen Line, and it's something that I don't know if I could say I enjoy doing it, but I do. It gets me outside with my kids, but I don't particularly like having to pick up all the garbage in the ditch. So I would ask people, please don't throw your garbage in the ditch. And I also got another one related to garbage on Man's Lane. Can you please look into getting garbage cans or bins along the sidewalk from the high school up to Irving on Men's Lane. There are a lot of residents complaining of garbage as well as collecting garbage themselves. It's completely overwhelming and bleed to the high school students at lunchtime, so it's consistently happening, seems to be piling up down in the woods and ditches. So I'll forward that one along to you too. All right, so that's the end of that part. Where are we to? Mayor's report. I'm going to keep this short and sweet as I can. So on April 22nd, myself and Economic Development Officer Deanne Lawrence, we had a meeting with Rick Comerford, who's doing some work on behalf of Municipalities Newfoundland, Labrador. So they're doing it's a project called Supporting M&L Members Through Economic Recovery. And this first phase is focusing on economic development. So we got together and had a chat about that. I'm sure Deanne will bring this back to the Economic Development Committee, and then you guys can have a look at it and bring forward any updates that we need to be aware of. Wednesday, May 28th, myself and Anne had a meeting with Canada Post to talk about their plans and our questions, I guess, that we had posed to them. It looks like, and we're still expecting a letter from them updating us on what their plans are going to be, but it does appear that they are looking at moving into that location out on Torbay Road. So we'll leave it at there for now. They're going to send in their information, a letter to us and response. And, you know, I also did have a conversation with a developer who was looking at potentially building a building and leasing it to Canada Post. And I put him in contact with them, and they had a little back and forth, but unfortunately that didn't pan out. So we'll see what they come back with. I know that they've been in contact with the planning department about some things out there. So anyway, that's I guess the quick and dirty update. You know, it was just a short, very short meeting, and they were going to send us I asked them to send us a response to the letter so that we'd have something to be able to circulate to council and to the residents. Also on Wednesday the 28th, I had a meeting with Paul Walsh. He's the new CEO of the Autism Society. I dropped down there and met with him, and we had a great conversation about how our town and the Autism Society can work together, and particularly programming that we can offer for autistic people, and how they can help with that, and how we can help, and we can help obviously by promoting awareness and those types of things. But I think that as we go forward, we need to look at how we can offer more programming for particularly people with autism and other people with special needs. I know that we do the special needs Christmas party every year, which is a great, it's a great event.
Wonderful.
I love to go, but I think that we can do more. So hopefully we'll get in touch. I know that they've already emailed me and to touch base after. So you know that's something that certainly our community services and recreation can look into and figure out how we can do that. I mean, we want to be a welcoming community and a place where people can feel safe and do their activities. So that was a great meeting. Anything, when I bring that up, I'll forward it on to staff, and they can follow up. So any questions?
I'd like to offer my help too, if you're forming a committee, whoever's going to be forming it, because my little granddaughter, of course, is autistic too, and if I can help anybody with anything, you know, and I'd love to do that.
Right on. Okay. Certainly puts a different perspective on it when you got a personal experience.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
All right. Business arising from the minutes of April 19th. Anything got anybody? No? All right. Perfect. A couple of correspondence here. One from Department of Transportation Infrastructure, changes to front-end documents. We'll forward that on to staff. It's, I'm not even sure what that means, front-end documents, but. Municipal Assessment Agency update memo. Could forward that on to the appropriate committee. M&L elections. Avalon Director. The seat currently held by Deputy Mayor. We have two letters here, one from Councillor in Mount Pearl, Mr. Bill Antle, who's running for Avalon Director, and one from Councillor Tina Neary in the town of Portrucote St. Phillips, who's also running for Avalon Director. So those are there for our reading pleasure. So we'll have a read of those, and I guess when it comes time to cast our votes, we'll choose somebody.
We will indeed.
Could I nominate our deputy mayor as our choice?
Well, she didn't run for that seat.
No, but she's running for the
Scooper.
Sorry, I jumped along.
All right.
That's
And we have
okay.
another, we have this letter here that I received from Souris Regional School in Prince Edward Island. And you remember when we got that letter from that grade 11 student?
Yes.
And so anyway, I responded to her letter. I wrote her a letter, and we did up a little care package of some town of Torbay items.
Nice.
And I put it in a box and sent it there. And they were really, I received this thank you letter from their teacher, and I thought it was really nice, and I figured I'd share it with the rest of the council. And you know, it's nice when people reach out from another province to try and learn a little bit more about our town. And you know, and they sent a picture along of their class holding their town of Torbay stuff, their reusable bags and stuff. So it was really nice.
You're going to share the picture along with the...
It's in the council package.
Oh, okay, thank you very much.
All right.
So Mayor, I'd like to add correspondence, if I could please.
Sure.
I've been very lucky and very grateful to the town of Torbay for your support to have served for the past couple of years as the Avalon Director with Municipalities of Newfoundland, Labrador. And I wish every luck to the people who are looking to hold the seat that I currently do now. I felt that with the years of experience that I've had at that table, that I wanted to maybe see if I could add a little bit more and join the executive team if I'm able to do that. So I was going to ask this evening if I could get a nomination from the town of Torbay. I would really like to have the support of the town to seek the permission to seek the nomination for the vice president position with Municipalities of Newfoundland and Labrador. So I believe Councillor Peggy Roach was interested to make that nomination. If you'd like to go ahead, by all means.
Yes. I'm sorry I jumped ahead
That's
before,
okay.
but I'd be pleased to nominate you for that position. And I encourage all our councillors to vote in a positive way of that, because since you've come on council and you haven't stopped, and we want to see how far you can go, beat out everybody else. But no, I think you well deserve a chance at that, and I think you got everything to share and good ideas, and you'll offer everything, I know.
Thank you. So can we get a motion of?
Sure.
Second
So
that.
moved.
Motion seconded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any comments?
I'm more than happy to support Deputy Mayor in her next step up the ladder and see where it goes, and spend
Yes.
as much time and energy as she has in the Avalon seat at the vice president seat. I think it's vice president, right? Yeah. And certainly wish you all the best, and I look forward to good things.
Thank you.
Yeah, Connick, all the same, 7.
Thank you.
Seems like you got unanimous support on it.
I as well, yeah.
Thank you.
I support you, and currently we both serve on the M&L board,
We do.
and I'll still be in my seat till November, unless I get booted out of this seat, and then somebody else can have that seat on the M&L board. But anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But yeah, I mean, you know, you bring a wealth of experience, and we've served on the board now almost for last 2 years together, and you know, it's a great experience. You have a lot of opportunity to to advocate for positive changes for municipalities in general, not just the Avalon like you were doing before, or for the UMC like I do. You know, we always have we have a focus for the seat that we're sitting in, whether it's Avalon or whether it's small towns or whatever. But you have to remember that you're there to represent everybody. So just because I represent 23 largest towns in the province don't mean that I don't worry about the small ones either, right? Because that's our neighbors and our friends. So yes, you got my support, and luckily I'm the one with the clicker at the at the convention, so I'll be able to vote for you. But I'll take my direction from council. If they're saying vote for the deputy mayor, then I'll vote for you anyway, even if I didn't want to. But
Question?
all right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank
So you
you.
just got to get them. You're going to get them to fill out your letter.
Yes, please, we can get that sorted. Was I supposed to vote on that? Or
Don't
was it
matter.
about me? I didn't
You vote for yourself.
vote,
You want
so I
to-
just want to be clear.
This, I mean,
It's unanimous.
I would support.
That's the way
Yeah.
forward.
It's
It's unanimous.
So, yeah, okay.
it's
Thank
kind of
you,
like
everybody.
it's kind of like voting for yourself to be deputy mayor, right? Similar.
Yeah, something like that.
Similar.
Yeah.
All right. Committees, council. Committee to hold minutes from April 19, 2021. There's no motions in there already. Nothing. Okay. Motion to adopt those, please.
Second.
Moved seconder, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Planning, Land Use Development, Councillor Thorngass.
Okay, first of all, I've got the motions from our meeting on the 30th. First one is, first of all, I'm going to say it was myself and her staff. Councillor Martin was in attendance, and Director Schwartz. 8 Streamline Lane, BR 2021-003, residential large lot, land use zone, home office in connection with engineering consulting business discretionary use. Town of Torbay is in receipt of an application proposing to establish a home office in connection with an engineering consulting business. The subject property is located at 8 Streamside Lane with the residential large lot land use zone. Proposed business is considered home office use and is listed as discretionary use within the RL land use zone. There are no representations received in response to the public notice. The committee concurs with the department and recommends conditional approval of the application in keeping with standard requirements for a home-based office in Torbay. Therefore, the following motion is tabled. Motion to conditionally approve application BR 2021-003 in accordance with regulations 33 and 90 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015-2025, and to issue a conditional approval for a home office in connection with an engineering consulting business at 8 Streamline Lane. So moved.
Second.
Mover, seconder, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Councillor Thorngass, can you pull your microphone over a little bit? Thank you.
Somebody complain already?
Yeah, Ann.
Okay. 4 Lonnie's Place, C2029/MD2021-001, residential medium density, 10% variance increase to maximum permitted accessory building lot coverage. The town of Torbay is in receipt of an application proposing to construct an accessory building in the rear yard of 4 Lonnie's Place. The applicant is requesting a 10% variance to be able to increase the total allowable accessory building lot coverage from the maximum permitted 48 square meters to the R&D use zone to 52.8 square meters. This variance is within the range that council can consider under municipal and provincial regulations. There were no representations received in response to the public notice. The detailed background report is attached. The committee concurs with the department and recommends conditional approval for the variance request for 4 Lonnie's Place. I move that to conditionally approve application C2021-039/NV2021-001 in accordance with regulations 11, 12, and 33 of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025, and to grant a 10% variance to the maximum permitted accessory building lot coverage to be able to accommodate a 52.8 square meter accessory building in the rear yard of 4 Lonnie's Place. So moved.
Second.
Moved seconder, comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
11
Mayor Scott, can I interrupt? Sorry, Councillor Thorngoss, but I've just had 3 residents advise they can't hear you. Can you pull your mic towards you and speak directly into the mic? Maybe push down on the mic into the base and make sure it's attached. There we go. Thank you.
That's what it is.
Okay. 11 lot unserviced residential subdivision, Forest Landing Phase 7B, RLL Land Use Zone, S2021-005. The town of Torbay is in receipt of an application by Marathon Holdings Inc. proposing to proceed with Phase 7B of the Forest Landing subdivision. Phase 6 is nearing total completion and homes are currently under construction in Phase 6 and 7A. This application for Phase 7B is for 11 unserviced building lots on well and septic. Phase 7B will be located southeast of Cedarwood Lane and Captain Matthew Davis Drive intersection, proposing to extend Cedarwood Lane further to the east, as well as to commence construction of a road connection south towards future phases 7C and D. The overall road, lot, and open space layout, including site engineering, groundwater assessment, and stormwater management, is keeping with prior approvals for the overall Phase 7 concept, as well as the RLL Land Use Zone of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025. The committee and director discussed background information provided and concurred that proposed Phase 7B Forest Landing subdivision is within the intent, layout, and previously approved engineering of Phases 6 and 7 Forest Landing. The committee discussed upon space management and agreed that with more and more people living in the area, that the central open wetland space and walkway loop around it shall be conveyed to the town now, in keeping with the already executed agreement for Phase 7A. This is prior to the signing of the development agreement for Phase 7B. The Phase 7B 10% open space dedication shall be cash in lieu going towards the construction of the walkway loop, which will be undertaken by the town to Grand Concourse standards. The committee recommends conditional approval of the Phase 7B Forest Landing subdivision. So I move to conditionally approve the development of 11-lot residential subdivision unserviced at the east end of Cedarwood Lane, application S2021-005, subject to the development meeting a number of conditions as outlined in attached background report, and approval being subject to the development meeting the Torbay Development Regulations 2015 to 2025, more specifically the RLL Land Use Zone, as well as the Torbay Subdivision Engineering Guidelines and the signing of a subdivision development agreement. So moved.
Second.
Over in seconder, questions?
Wow. I'm looking at the drawings here, and I'm looking at the watershed for North Pond, and it's impacting 2 and a part of 3 of those lots. Can you speak to what consideration has been made here? I mean, North Pond is the primary water source for residents in Torbay, and these lots as proposed, as I'm looking at them right now, are technically within the watershed area as I'm looking at that. And I'm not going to feel comfortable supporting this motion if that's the case. And I'm also looking at the Eastern Habitat Joint Venture, Souris, you know, the SAM Wildlife Department piece of this here, looking at lot 45 and 46 for those reviews, because I feel strongly that you know, moving forward with development is a positive thing, and I think that moving forward with development in Forest Landing makes sense as long as the conditions that we would look for, zero net runoff and all those things are in place. But I'm not prepared to vote for this development right now if it is impacting on the watershed for North Pond. I'm not going to be able to do
You're not
that.
safe for that.
It's on there now, it was.
It's on. It's gone again.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Sorry, I didn't turn it on initially, so. The subdivision is fully located in the residential designation and the RLL land use zone. And it was also referred to the Water Resources Division for commentary, so they didn't have, there's no issues with regards to the North Pond watershed.
Can you explain to me then why 3 of those potential lots intersect the picture that I'm looking at here in the package?
Can you explain again, please?
I think what Deputy Mayor is referencing, on this drawing, it shows the watershed boundary in red, and lots go over a little bit. But my understanding is that we would never allow any development within the watershed. The
No.
surveys would be exact. So this line on that map might not be perfect.
Yes, so I mean, no development would occur in the North Pond watershed designation and land use zone.
So
Now, this map that's prepared there is prepared by the town, and basically the town has full legislation over that as well as the province. So there will be no development in the watershed zone.
So I'm curious to see why the space for the lots are overlapping on the watershed. And even if they're not overlapping, they're right on the boundary of the watershed for these lots. When I'm looking at the map here, unless there's something that I'm not understanding, what's in blue here is the actual lot configuration. What's in red here is the boundary for the North Pond watershed. And there's 1, 2, 3 lots here that either border or intersect lot 46, lot 24, and lot 25 with the watershed. So I'm not sure why the drawing would show that. If there is no overlap, why is the drawing showing that the lot actually here is in that space? And it's,
At this point, we don't really have detailed, like, perimeter surveys and all the detailed survey information, so we'll certainly make sure that when they come in, that it's located outside of that.
and there's no buffer here as well from the lot that I see to the watershed? Is there?
There's no buffer required. You can't construct in a watershed. It's very similar to a conservation area. Even if a lot extended into the watershed,
Yeah.
you could not develop on that piece that's within that land boundary. It's similar to conservation zone or a river buffer. You could use that to make your
15
total
meters
space.
away from.
But you're not allowed to develop, obviously no development can happen, but to, I guess Julia's point, when the engineering drawings come in for the subdivision and the town reviews it, it would have to be outside the watershed. There's no way that you can put anything in the watershed. This is just a concept drawing, I'm guessing. It's not an engineered drawing that we will receive as part of the package when it comes in.
I would require, for me to vote in favor of this tonight, I would require a drawing that shows a buffer that protects the North Pond watershed. This is the only and primary water source that we have for residents in the town of Torbay right now. And with the information that I see here, I'm unable to support the motion for this tonight.
All right. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
I just want to comment on the watershed issue too. I just want to make sure that the watershed boundary is correct. I know boundaries have a tendency to move, not because they actually move physically, but because the mapping gets more refined and the LiDAR. So I'm not sure if this is our most recent flyover mapping that's present here. But for the development to go forward, we got to make sure that the mapping is correct in terms of which way the water is flowing for that watershed. And I'm sure Water Resource Division is fine with it as well. The lots seem to be far enough away from the watershed, with the exception of lot 46, which is probably right on the boundary. And of course, the net zero runoff. So I know we're going to have to get engineering approval and all those things. Just that very strong caution to certainly relay what Deputy Mayor says in terms of making sure that there's no encroachment on that watershed boundary, be it perceived or real at that point in time. So just to make sure that we got the proper mapping on it.
I think the director, you have something to add?
I just want to mention that those two lots are specifically mentioned in the background report, so we'll work closely with the Department of Environment on making sure that they're okay with that, and or if not, then it won't go in a sense. The other thing I wanted to mention is that sometimes the drawings, like this is a concept drawing that I included just to overlay it over the aerial, so it gives you a good idea of where it's located. But some of it has to do with line weights and all of that. So as the perimeter survey comes in and the AutoCAD drawings and all of that, we'll certainly make sure that there's no effect on the watershed.
All right, thank you. Anybody else?
Yes, I'd like to see if we can withdraw the motion and send it back to the committee to get all that work finished on it and present proper documentation, because it's fine to say, well, we're not going to do that. But if it's there in paper and people are going to say, well, look, I got this here, signed and sealed, right? And you're going to have some problem there. So I think along the lines of our deputy mayor there, that, I really think this should be re-presented. If you can do that, but I mean, I didn't make the motion, so I can't withdraw it.
So you're making a motion then to withdraw it?
Director?
What do
No, I
you-
didn't say that. I didn't make the motion. The person who made the motion got to withdraw it.
Well, there's a motion already on the table.
Right.
So,
Yeah, well, I won't be voting for it then. Sorry.
Okay.
Till it
Director?
gets straightened up, okay? Because that's something
Councillor
there.
Rose?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Director?
I'm a professional planner and a professional landscape architect, and you have my professional assurance that I will not let any development occur in the North Pond watershed.
Thank you.
To that point though, Mayor,
Deputy Mayor, you already spoke to this motion once. I think that, it's, anyway, back to the chair.
I'm presenting this as it is right now, and we had discussion on this, and we just have heard from the director look at this, and I think that if it is close, which I feel 99.9% comfortable that it's not, we wouldn't have it here on the table if that was the case. So I want to proceed with the motion that I have here.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Deputy Mayor and Councillor Roach opposed. Thank you.
Crown Land referral, number 156240. File reference number 1038468, residential subdivision, Cody Construction and Excavating, residential subdivision area, land use zone. The town is in receipt of Crown Land referral pertaining to the proposed acquisition of a 7.614 hectares size piece of Crown land that is located east of Torbay Road, north of Jones Pond, and west of Torquay Place. The Crown Land application is by Cody Construction and Excavating for purposes of developing a residential subdivision and to access the property via approximately 274 meters of access road via Jones Pond Road and Selleck Place. This area is on service. The majority of the subject property is located in the residential subdivision and lands use zone of the Torbay Development Regulations 2015-2025 land use zone map, while a small and narrow portion along the southern boundary is located in the CON land use zone and the Jones Pond Habitat Management Unit and associated buffer. In keeping with the RSA land use zone table requirements, prior to any development being able to concur in this area, comprehensive planning is to be carried out, including the submission of rezoning application and preparation of a development scheme for review and approval prior to the land being appropriately rezoned and made available for subdivision development. The committee reviewed the background report provided and is supportive of proposed residential subdivision development in the area. However, notes that in keeping with the Torbay Development Regulations and RSA Land Use Table, a rezoning application including preparation of a development scheme is required prior to being able to consider development in the area. Therefore, the following motion is tabled. Motion to advise Crown Land that Council is generally supportive of a residential subdivision in the area. However, the land is currently zoned RSA, requiring a rezoning application and preparation of a development scheme for review and adoption prior to being able to be considered for development. So moved.
Second.
Mover, seconder, questions?
And I'd just like to add, this has been on the go for a while, and it came back, and I guess there was some adjustment that probably had been made to the application. It was originally in a water and on water source, and that had been changed, so we went through that. So if it's questioned or what have you, the fact that it's been there, I guess that was the reason for the delay into it, so it's straightforward.
Okay. Question?
Yeah, I call the question.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Permit listings are next, and I'm going to remove myself for that just motion to go through,
Yeah, and
considering the conflict.
just for the public watching. So we'll do a motion.
Okay.
Councillor Goss, can someone,
I'll move that Councillor Thorngass
is in a conflict?
Possible.
Is in a conflict.
is in a conflict of interest and
Okay.
remove herself from the meeting.
Seconder?
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Just for the public's interest, there's a relation of Councillor Goss in the permit listings.
Yes.
So rather than her vote on that, and
Better to
so
have
she
it.
remove herself now before we do it. So Councillor Martin, carry
Thank
away.
you. I just lost my page now. Permit listings. Okay, I'd like to move the following motion. Motion as presented is motion to accept permit listings for the period of April 16th to April 30th, 2021, as presented. So moved.
Second.
Mover and seconder, all in favor?
Question?
Yeah.
I have a question. I'd like to know how many of these lots here require a water hookup?
I don't know, they're already approved.
Do any of these lots here have a water hookup in the 60 allocation that we have
I'm not sure.
that's out there?
I'll ask the director, do you have that information available?
I'd have to go through the list. It's possible, but I have to actually look at the individual permits. I can have a look now and just see and advise at the end of the meeting.
All right.
Well, before we vote on this, I'm looking at Convent Lane, and Convent Lane is right in the space of where we would have a water hookup. So I'm just curious to see if any of these require water hookup. I'd like to have that information before we pass the motion.
We're passing the motion to accept the report. All these permits have already been issued. Right?
Right, but the question that I have is, do any of these houses have a water hookup out of that 60
Okay.
allocation? That's what I wanted to know before we vote.
All right.
And knowing one of them is in the Convent Lane area, I'm curious to know the answer before we vote.
Director, do you need a couple of minutes to retrieve that information?
Yes, I'll look at it right now, and I'll let you know in just a second.
Mayor Scott, can I move that we have a brief recess while Director Shorts gathers that information? So moved.
Well, why don't we just,
Second.
why don't you go through your, actually, Mary's going to do that. We'll just wait, it's only going to take a minute.
So we're not going to recess?
There's no need to recess, because if we recess, then we pause the video, we ran into problems with that before.
Yeah.
Ended up having to
Okay,
call
fair
a meeting
enough. Fair
on it.
enough. I'll withdraw that.
In the approvals and principles, so that's the first permit listing, there's 3 unserviced lots and 1 previously approved lot. So, and I'm just going to look through the building and development permits for a second. There are no new single dwellings in the construction permit, so building development permits for this period.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried?
Do you want me to go get?
Yeah, I'll get it. Sorry.
Someone's buzzing, by the way. I don't know.
How come I can't stay on?
All right. All righty. Councilor Torngas, did you want to go
No.
through the rest of your report?
Okay.
Or is that it?
No, I want to go, just touch on the minutes. That's the end of the motions.
Okay.
And I just want to touch on the rest of it. We talked about 51 Norapan Road, a public meeting, which is going to be on May 10th at 6:30, Torbay Common. And note for that pre-registration is required. Planning is in the works for the public meeting at 6:30, Torbay Common. The meeting will provide an opportunity to ask questions about the proposal, meet the developer and the town to advise on what we heard thus far. Seating is limited due to COVID protocols in place, and pre-registration is required by Friday, May 7th, 12 noon. The mayor will chair the meeting, and a meeting agenda will be distributed at the meeting. The plan is to, if possible, do a Facebook live stream. Invitations will go out in keeping with the town's public notification policy in place as well. They will be emailed to all who have responded to the discretionary use already. We talked about land use impact assessment policy. This is something I think that is really worth doing, and I'm just going to go through this for the interest of the public and anybody who hasn't read down over this in detail. Director presented a draft one-pager on potential content to be included in land use impacts assessments and may be recommended for certain types of development in accordance with the Torbay development regulations. The committee advised that the document was a good basis for more detailed and now subsequent discussion by all council members. It will be useful to learn from more complex development proposals. The committee recommended that a review of land use impact assessment could be included in the development guidelines review, which has been budgeted for this year, as well as not only get council feedback, but to also get input, which I think is really important, from developers through an in-person meeting and online survey. In addition, the director will also reach out to other towns of similar size regarding questions in and around stormwater management and land use impact assessments. In summary, the department will commence drafting a process flow and scope recommendation for the development guidelines review, which will include requirements for land use impact assessments. We talked about the complaint management policy that wouldn't be for just our particular committee or department, but it would be something that would be for all of the various departments. And the director will bring that forward to senior management for feedback and consideration. Appointment of independent commissioner for amendments. We've been advised that we have no commissioner on the roster right now to proceed over public hearings. Economic strategic road map follow-up. The next step for the light industrial park and town centre scheme. The director provided an update on the joint meeting held with EDO Lawrence, and the committee supported the overall report and proposed next steps. I think this is really, we're on the right steps with this. And the municipal enforcement is attached report. Water allocations, inquiries, re-subdivision development. There was further to the committee of the whole meeting, met with the developer on the 12th, and she followed up with their consultant on the 17th, and since then the developer submitted correspondence, and there's also in an inquiry by another subdivision developer. That shale rock issue, that's something that she's waiting, the director is waiting to hear back from legal on. And the Marine Drive Trail inquiry, she's been in contact in writing and is expecting a joint follow-up phone conversation shortly. And that was the end of our meeting.
All right, thank you. Any questions on the report?
I do. I've got a couple of items here I want to ask some questions about. I had received correspondence from Karen Brown-Goss about her application and questions about having a wildlife rehabilitation facility at her home. And the last time that this conversation came up, she was being told that she was going to have to pay the cost, and it was significant, I think somewhere to the tune of $3,500 for the adjustment to the...
For rezoning request, you mean?
It was an adjustment to the municipal plan, I believe.
Plan amendment.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I asked that this come back to committee and that the town cover that cost. I mean, she's the one who's incurring cost herself to set up these spaces that she contains the animals in, rehabilitates them and does all that. And there's a cost prohibitive issue for her. She's not going to be able to move forward. And it's not just the town of Torbay she's helping. I mean, she's been known, and I've seen her tagged in social media, where an animal is hurt, if it's an eagle or a bird or whatever it is that needs rehabilitation, wild animals. There are few like her able to do this. So last time that I was aware of this file. It was my understanding that that was going to go back to committee for review and recommendation, and that the town would make those amendments. And I think that, you know, this is an extraordinary cost for her as a person who wants to set this up in the community to have to take on. So I just want to follow up and ask the question on that one first. Where
I'll
is that?
follow up,
What's
I'll
happening?
answer on that one.
Yeah.
That wasn't on tonight's agenda, of course. And it was on one of our agendas, and our director was going to respond to the correspondence that she had from that particular resident. And we had talked about it, and it was tabled a while ago. So I'm assuming from this meeting that our director will follow up on that particular one. That was a prior agenda.
Well, I brought that up tonight because she's waiting on this information, and I think the last correspondence she had was in March on it.
I'm sure she is, but we will ensure, Deputy Mayor, that it will be followed up on from a committee perspective.
Right. So is there a timeline when the resident can expect to receive communication?
It'll be on our next agenda, and we'll just touch base after the meeting with the director.
Okay, so she is waiting for this to get other things that she needs to get done in place.
Right.
So I want to make sure that's brought up tonight.
Anyway,
I think
This-
that,
it's not on this particular agenda. I'm just looking at questions on this particular
Right, but
agenda
I'm
right
asking
now.
questions about the planning department that I'd like to have answered, please,
can I-
tonight.
yeah, okay. The only thing I would add to your question is that, you know, we need to be careful about when we do these things with planning amendments, because I took at least 50 calls last year from a resident on the end of a road that had to get a very small portion of his lot rezoned and cost him $7,000 that he had to pay to do the rezoning request and the plan amendment. So we had to make sure that we're treating everybody equally when we do these things, because it's, and he wasn't the only one. There's other people that have come forward and they get a bill from the town and they said, what are you talking about? I gotta give a $10,000 deposit for a plan amendment to get my own land rezoned. And I mean, there's costs associated with all that, right? So we had to be careful how we deal with these things.
So if we could have committee put that back and get back to her, because she's waiting on that. And this is not just a residential situation. This is providing a service for the region.
I understand.
right?
I understand that.
The second thing, I had a conversation with Robert Koish about his letter to you and concern, and he's asking that committee review that, and I know you will, but very concerned about this going through their backyard from a privacy perspective and lack of consultation. And I know from your response, Mayor, you had said that it was an amendment to what they had in place and that wasn't required. But for most any development change that we have, especially impacting people's private property, we do have communication with people in the immediate region about what those changes are. So I think it's important for committee to revisit this, see if there is another suitable arrangement that could be made that's not as invasive on people's personal property. So I'll leave that with committee to go back and have a look at. The other thing that I wanted to have a note about today is that there have been public comments about awareness of what legal advice has been provided to the town. And I've got great concern about that, and I don't know where or how we address those issues, but I would like to have them addressed, because in the public today, I read correspondence about residents saying that they were privy to, their claim was they were privy to advice by our town lawyers about town planning issues. And I don't want to get into the issues, I just want to make sure that we are looking into this and making sure that there is no situation whereby anybody in the public is accessing information which is supposed to be privileged from solicitor to the town. Now, if these claims are accurate or not, I don't know. I do know there were two separate people who made that claim today, but I'm quite concerned as a council member to read that in the public, and I just want to make sure on who looks after it, who follows up on it, I don't know. And I'm raising it here because it was in the public and it was about a planning issue. And so I just want to make sure that, you know, there's a confidential oath that we take, and I think that it's important that we follow up on this to find out, is there something happening here? And if there isn't, make sure that we're clear that that is not happening.
Right.
So I'll leave it at that, but I just want to make sure that I flag
I
it
hear
and
your
ask.
point. I think to that point, if somebody in the public feels that they have that information, why don't they bring it forward and put their name on it instead? I read a lot of that stuff that you're talking about
Yeah.
too, and it was 99.9% of it is inaccurate. And so if they do have inside information, I don't know where they're getting it. If they're getting it from nobody around here, that's for sure, because it's you know, and I know what it was related to. It was related to the legal costs and the package tonight, which I think that just goes to show that we put everything out there for the public to see. And if they want information, if they want to ask questions, this is the place to bring them,
Absolutely.
right? So, and we're more than willing to put forward information that's within our scope of that we can provide. And, you know, people, all they have to do is ask.
Absolutely, and that's the reason I wanted to bring it up tonight, is because I don't want the public to get an opinion and feel that somebody has
Advantage.
I guess my concern is, you know, I've worked with you guys for the last 3 years, and we work well together, and I have great respect for all members of council, and I was taken aback today when I read in a public forum that somebody was saying that they had access to privileged information between, you know, lawyers in the town, and I went, no. And I want to just pull the Band-Aid off on that and say, to my knowledge, that's not happening, and there is no information that this town can make available. We've done everything we can to be, you know, transparent and accountable, and I have great concern about comments like that in the public, because I don't want the public to be misled by some of those inaccuracies that are out there. So I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And to your point, unfortunately, that is not the forum where you can actually go in there and try and correct some of the information, because you're already down the rabbit hole. So this is the place to do it.
Yeah.
And through our official town communications is the way to do it.
Yeah, that's why I
Right.
brought it up here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Martin?
I guess that since it's open now, I want to comment as well. I was also taken back as the deputy mayor was about that, but you know, I certainly don't feel anything was coming from committee. You know, we take the utmost confidence and regard to our work. You know, we put quite a bit of work into it. I will say though that even though it's not really a planning thing, as you said, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, you know, we've invested quite a bit of money in Torbay Talks and various platforms and avenues, as well as we have lots of information up about when we make a major expenditure such as buildings and renovations, that it doesn't come out of the taxpayer's bank account. We have various funding sources and various credits and grants and so on and so forth. So really people need to become more cognizant of that before they arbitrarily assume that, you know, we're spending $2 million on a history house renovation or anything like that. You know, there's various,
I know.
you know, and I say that with all due respect to,
I know, listen.
you know, but like you know, the town is invested in various platforms and avenues to avoid this kind of thing. So I encourage everyone to expedite it.
Good point. Listen, it's the nature of this business.
It is.
To be, when you're on a council, you can do no right, it's all wrong, and everybody got an opinion. But anyway, it is what it is. So, thank you very much.
I
You're
just
done?
want to go back to this right now.
Oh, okay, all right.
And are we going, in the future, I put this is, and I guess normally I don't do this, but it's planning and land. So normally it's questions and comments on the
Yes.
agenda.
Yeah.
And if there's any other comments or additional agenda items, and I will say, and the mayor said in on this meeting, I guess normally they go anywhere from 3 to 4 hours. And I guess to rehash any of it, but I mean, I think that it's suffice to say that an email back to the committee to add, because while tonight there was probably 2 or 3 that requires follow-up, I can go back to our director and add for that many more to go on there as well. And I guess, you know, like even today you had a question, and I know our director, in all due respect, had a meeting for 12:30 or 1:30 today to meet with that particular resident to address that particular one. So I just find, as the chair of a committee, getting hit with something on the spot and not knowing the information, I just find that I like to be prepared for any questions that are coming through, and you probably had more information tonight than I had, but I guess the intent was to see if there was anything particular on the agenda, or if there would be anything that you would like to see added on the next agenda.
Yep, fair point.
Before you close,
Are you done?
I just have one question.
Oh, go ahead.
In related to the legal on the shale rock, when I was reading it, it didn't come across as clear exactly what we're doing. Are we looking for a legal opinion? I think the conversation around it was to see if the developer could put a legal term in there that would save us harmless from any damage. And that's what we're investigating, right?
And I think this was probably something, looking at it, that had been on the agenda before we even got that application from the current developer down there, was to answer from the two residents the issues that they had, to try to get that resolved. Isn't that right? That's my understanding of where this particular item came from.
Yeah, correct. So the comment that council had last week, they were incorporated into the approval in principle that was issued for that one particular application. But this matter goes back to last year, where the area residents had questions on jurisdiction and that. So that's coming to conclusion shortly.
Yeah, and it seems to resurface every few years, and we really wanted to try to get this one resolved before we went any further, and that application just happened to come in the midst of all of this, so.
All right. You done now?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's the end of it.
Thank you. All right. Finance of the meeting, Councilor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met on the 27th of April, myself and Deputy Mayor and Director Kudla. A small report tonight, although there's certainly a ton of information behind it, and unfortunately we didn't get a chance to review our asset management plan at a planned committee of the whole meeting. We'll have to do that sometime in the future. Unfortunately, our director won't be with us to necessarily regurgitate those numbers, but certainly reach out to her if we need any help in those side of things. Anyway, more on that later. The motions here for amounts over $5,000. Two of them are to Wood Environment Infrastructure Solutions. One was for the water testing program for 2021 in the amount of $5,299.20. And the second one was related to the Torbay Great Pond study, which we had the presentation here, I guess 2 weeks ago by now, in the amount of $10,795.95, all totaling $16,095.15. So moved.
Second.
Mover and seconder. Questions, comments?
Just want to ask the question there. I thought that the Great Pond study was 27,000.
This is the first phase.
That's the first phase.
So that first
the end of
phase,
the
that's what
phase.
okay.
Next motion relates
Hang on.
to.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Carry on.
Before you do, should we just be clear about what that next step is for the public so they understand?
I think we did that when we put forward a motion to go forward with the second phase last meeting.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
Next part is the motion that there's an amendment attached to revise the Co-Opportunities Agency project plan that they're funding part of for the community center in terms of the amphitheater and some construction there, and we're going to add in the acoustics enhancement that we had spoken about, and they have agreed to that, so that agreement is there. So we need to accept the attached agreement. So the motion reads that the town of Torbay accept the COA's 2021-04-20 amendment to project 214303 community center enhancements, and so moved.
Second.
The seconder, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I'd just like to make a comment. This is a prime example of funding that's coming to pay for major infrastructure.
All right. That it, Tony?
That's it, except that the topic of conversation just previously on the quarry legal, history, invoice history is there, and yes, it is substantial and it's taken a long period of time, and I too read a lot of the comments on Facebook, and I did not respond to them, but I got to say I was sort of astounded by some. I didn't mind the question as to, look at the money you spent, that type of thing, and well, how much does it cost to do business? I was concerned that people did not take the time to actually try to understand what the business actually is and the whole story around it and the whole circumstance, and automatically jump to assumptions, as you had alluded to, Mr. Mayor, about the council always doing wrong and spending taxpayers' dollars unnecessarily. And to Councillor Martin's thing, and I always say that, it's when we do budget time and things of that nature, is important that residents come out and try to understand what it is that their tax dollars cover and how much additional dollars are leveraged by those as well, in terms of all the grants we do get from other government agencies, and our 30-cent dollars we get for the major projects such as the sidewalks and things of that nature. So anyway, I leave my soapbox now. And
I think to your point, though, I'm just going to elaborate a little bit on that. When you look through these for this thing, right, with the quarry and the description around them, every one of these would be an appeal not by the town. Like, we don't appeal our own decisions. We make a decision, and a third party or anybody else, anybody in town, it doesn't mean just this decision, but any decision of council. We could pass a motion here tonight to build a shed in your backyard, and somebody down the road could appeal it tomorrow if they got $100 and they don't like you, and then drag you through the court and drag the town through the court. So, a lot of these costs are outside of our control. We have a legislative obligation under the Municipalities Act and to follow the appeals process when it happens, and that's what we do. And we don't want to be there. We don't want to be in the appeal board anytime. We are cognizant when we make decisions that does this fit within our regulations so that we don't get appealed. But we have no control over that. And once the process starts and you're in it, you're in it. And it's unfortunate that it's happened this way, but hopefully, it's currently in the appeal board right now. So, it's just a matter of the business, and it's how the business is conducted, and it's outside of our control a lot of the time. So, I just want people to be aware of that we don't appeal our own stuff. So,
I think I'd like to add what you're just saying, and I think that if I was a resident looking at this, I would be saying, what the hell is going on? And for our next meeting, this needs to be broke down according to application, because this is going on from way back to 2003, and there could be any number of different applications and different reasons. This is not all the same application, and I think that that's what people need to understand, because I would be looking at this the same way.
I agree.
So I'm looking down, and I guess asking our acting CAO to look at having for the next council meeting a breakdown of what application and what this actually entailed for all of those years, because it's not the current appeal that's currently on the go that stems back over all of this. Is any number of different appeals for a quarry, so and different applications, and each application has its own merit. So I think we need to look at that and put as much of an explanation in here as possible. I guess and I was one of the ones that had asked for that at the last meeting, I was pertaining to the current appeal, and how much legal that was ongoing from that perspective over the last year or 2 years or whatever, not to go back, because this doesn't really mean anything to me at this point in time.
okay, all right.
I think to that point, though, if you are going to look at this for what it is, the current appeal would go back to the Stuart McKelvey file to around 2017 for public clarification, because this, as I understand it, is the same site, it's the same proponent, it's a number of appeals looking to develop that same site by the same proponent. Yeah. So that's the clarification over the time frame, but the actual current appeal, as I understand these numbers, would be predominantly from the 2017 when we joined council, when there was a appeal that had happened of the last decision of past council. Yep. And then from that point, what happened, is my understanding goes, is that the residents appealed it. And then as you said, Mayor, the town makes the decision. And as tonight and every night, we all ask questions. and we make the best decisions we can with the information that's in front of us at the time. And so once the process happens and the appeal happens, then the town has a role to engage. However, from my understanding here, the cost, for Stuart McKelvey to the tune of $90,000 is for the current appeal or the current application, sorry. And I think that includes the appeal from
Second appeal now on this
the
one.
residents, and then there's also the amendments that were that came out of that appeal that were needed to be required.
Yep.
And then there was the decision of council, and then on that there is the current appeal, and the cost of the rest of the current appeal, which hasn't been scheduled yet for that hearing,
Right.
is to be incurred on top of this 90,000 that is here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, so it's,
So-
yeah, I mean, it's expensive sometimes to do business, but I think that your point that you just made is that this is not the town appealing our stuff. We're just responding to applications and making decisions and then see where to go, so,
Yeah, the town made
but
a
I get-
decision and the applicant appealed it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, point taken, and good, we can get that broke down, and that's fine. Good? Everybody? Thank you. Thank you, sir.
no, wait now, the Finance Administration Committee agenda and minutes.
Right.
Like, I'm looking down over that, and I guess sometimes we kind of get away from that, and I'm not really sure of some of this in here.
Okay.
And I just want to ask the chair, I guess with some of it, it's saying that public council meetings and what have, a lot of the information is attached. But then it gets into collections and 2001 levy versus Q1 collections. And what does all that mean, the Q1 receipts and what's outstanding? Like what, explain that to me because I really don't know.
It's a snapshot of the collections for quarter one from our receivables. The levy was $8 million for the year, for 2021, and in quarter one, we received $4.7 million. So it leaves outstanding $3.3 million off our tax base for 2021. Next grouping down below is a comparison to where we were this time last year, to see whether or not we're behind or ahead in relation to collections. So we're actually a bit ahead, if you look at it, $284,000 overall in terms of collections. So it means a better job is being done on collections this year compared to last year.
Mm-hmm.
If I may, I was going to say, I'd like to share it to show the work of our staff with the tax collections year over year. It's a great way to show how hard we've been working on collections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Usually I include it in a Q1 update, but because I'm on my end, I don't have,
A COLA funding carry forward amendment received, and and this is exactly where I was going, like looking at this amendment received for on the 20th. So that's to do with the History House. So now we're good.
no, that was for community center.
Community center.
Okay.
That's what was voted on.
So what's happening then? Because I know we put in for a request on the History House. So we haven't heard anything for the History House yet?
Conveniently enough, they just reached out to us yesterday asking, we have a phone call with them on Wednesday to update it, but I believe they missed my request to extend it based on the email I got from them.
Okay.
So I forwarded the request back on to them and they haven't replied to me yet, so.
Okay. 'Cause that's one that I was concerned about. I see the one in there, but what's going to happen with the History House?
They responded very positively to my request, so I suspect
so
it'll
you
be
feel
approved.
good?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the capital campaign, so we don't know what's happening with that before.
That's been pending for a while. I've given my recommendations to council and CAO, acting CAO, on what needs to be done there, but I've been kind of waiting for you guys to get back to me on it.
Okay. All right.
Did it?
Yeah, I'm just looking at some of this because that's, I guess, where we, and maybe for me, just to bring it up to go down, because sometimes we get into the motions, but we don't really actually go down over the agenda and the minutes from finance.
Okay. Great, thank you.
I'll make a point to update them on a regular basis now, so maybe not every week, but every second week I'll
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Just keep
Economic
going.
Development and Tourism.
If the rest of us got to do it, it only stands fair that you should do it too.
No, anyway, that goes back to a whole bunch of conversations we had before in terms of what we're going to read. We stopped reading minutes, and then we started reading minutes again, or individual
That's-
circumstance, because.
I
anyway,
know, and
fine.
that's where we end up getting away from it, and other committees didn't do it, so
Yep.
But it's my understanding on the last question that Councillor Thorne Goss had made around the pilot piece is that we were going to request a meeting and get that moving. So that's,
Mr. Mayor.
yeah, we're waiting for that to happen. From a committee's perspective, that's the action that I understand is supposed to be.
well, if it didn't happen by Wednesday of this week, then likelihood of it going to happen
But
is
what I'm
real
saying
slim.
is, my understanding from our last meeting when we discussed this was that there was an action item on that to arrange a meeting
Yes.
on
there
their
is.
file.
There is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I just wanted to make sure that was noted.
I know you're looking at me, but I guess sometimes it's fine to say this, and I saw a letter from a resident,
Right.
or read it, or I dreamt it or something, which brings this back again, and I guess when we come here to a council meeting and we talk about it, and then before you know, there's another 2 weeks gone.
I know.
So all I'm looking at, sometimes when we say this, there should be a date put in there, and then for follow-up, because the weeks are running into months. That's what I'm trying to say, and
Yeah, no,
before
I
you
hear-
know,
listen.
it's getting away from us.
I agree with you completely. Okay. Economic Development and Tourism.
Thank you. All right, the Economic Development Tourism Committee met on April 21st with myself, Councillor Martin. Mayor, I believe you were in that meeting as well.
Yeah,
I do believe you were in that meeting as well. We discussed the Torbay History House Museum governing model. There are 3 motions here, and all the information is presented. This has been shared to council, and all members of council were invited to join us at the last Economic and Development Tourism Committee meeting. So the first motion is for council to review and adopt the Torbay History House Museum Board of Directors Management Agreement as presented. So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded. Questions?
Which one was that again? I'm sorry, because I'm into a different, it's the management, the
Could you
lease,
reread the motion?
the
Yeah,
lease
management
agreement?
Yeah, management.
The management agreement?
Yeah.
No, I had questions on it, but I ended up going down over it. It's the other one that I got the question on.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Peggy?
Well, I don't even know I'm waiting to see what you're doing.
There's a motion on the floor
Yeah, there's a motion on the floor.
to accept the management agreement for the History House Museum.
It's in the package.
Yes, but I only got the package now, when I came in,
Oh, okay.
you know? So I didn't get a chance to go through this.
This was shared out. It should have been shared out. Peggy, did you not get access to your emails?
I don't have the skills that a lot of people got, and when I get shagged up, I'm shagged up.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to do there now, try to see where you're to.
Okay, sorry. I do apologize. I thought that you had seen this, Peggy, just because it was
No,
sent out.
I'm so sure it was you know,
Yeah.
but believe me, I won't be doing this next year for sure. It's too
Can I just mention something really quick?
Yep.
The package didn't go out actually until Sunday morning. So I printed off a copy for Councillor Roach
Yes,
this
that's what I
evening.
got
So
today,
from now on, I'll just call her earlier in the day on Monday, and maybe you can come pick it up earlier, okay?
Yes,
All
it's
right.
not your fault, John.
So what do we do in a situation like that where we've got one of the councillors don't even know what we're talking about? We defer that, or?
But you
Well, we
just
can't-
answer
we're gonna
answer
defer.
now.
She
That's
has
what
to-
this is all
No,
about.
but she
Yeah,
hasn't read the
Council.
package.
If you, do you have the information in front of you there, Councillor?
Yes, I got it
Okay, so
here
we can
because I
look
just
through
got
it.
it the evening, you know.
We can walk through it. The first
No,
one,
I don't need to hold up council. It's just that, you know, I'm listening to things and then, you know, things were supposed to be done and they're not being done, and then you're supposed to have meetings and I even said to you, you know, make a date, and you don't do it, you know? So I don't know what's coming out.
I'm not, I'm not sure I'm following you, Peggy.
No, I don't
What-
think
what's-
you do
what's-
either.
What was the date that you're referring?
When you're going to meet. You were going to get somebody together and you were going to meet. And I said, well, what date are you meeting? You don't put meets on your, dates on your minutes or something, or you don't do, like you just said now, we never got together because no one set a date. But why don't you set a date?
Oh, that was something different, Peggy. That was a different,
Okay, so-
Yeah.
that was a different meeting.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Peggy, what you're asking about is a finance discussion that we were having. This one is the Economic Development Committee for the History House. And what the documents that are here are the documents for council to adopt so we can open and operate the History House. So the first one is a management agreement for the operation of the facility. The facility is a town building, town asset, but we're going to have a board of directors that is going to be put in place by the town to run it. So that's what that first motion, that document is about. It's the management
Right, you don't
agreement.
need to have to go through it all. Just don't embarrass me anymore, please. Thanks.
Okay.
I'm
sorry.
embarrassing myself too much.
Sorry, that wasn't my
Yeah.
intention. I just wanted to make sure that you knew what was there. Mayor, what do you want to do with this?
Just pretend I'm not here.
Well, we could vote to allow Councillor Roach to abstain from voting because she doesn't have enough information if we want.
But see, that's not fair to the staff.
Right.
The information is there. And it's because I'm not a techie. I have got hundreds of hours spent wasted trying to get things working and, and I just can't do it no more.
Do we want to defer for 2 weeks to
No, my
allow
God, go
time
ahead and make
for-
your motion, will you? I'll go out. I'll abstain and go out here for, excuse me for 1 second. I have to go to bed anyway, so.
She can't do that. It's up to you. If you want to withdraw and defer till the next meeting, you can.
I feel that,
Or do you think it's important that it goes toward tonight?
well, I feel that it's important, and I would like for it to go through tonight, but in all fairness and honesty, I don't think it's fair for us to move forward with this tonight if Councillor Roach hasn't had the ability to review it, and it's not her fault. And if I certainly wouldn't want her to be embarrassed for not having the access to the stuff that she would have needed. So I think what we could do, it's important that this gets adopted as soon as possible. I wanted to have this stuff in place so we could move forward with the motion to put out the call for the board directors. But maybe what we could do is we could postpone the first two motions to allow time for the councillor to review, and then maybe we could release the call for board of directors. All the information is in the package here, and the big thing that I want to ensure is that we have a building over there. Public Works have been doing fabulous work. Brian has walked me through the site. The project management team have been doing the work. We've been trying to coordinate to make sure this is ready for when it opens so that the board of directors in place. It's my understanding that the job description is ready to rock and roll for the museum coordinator. So I just don't want to see things held up so that we're not able to move forward. And the most important motion of all these, the other two can hold off for 2 weeks to allow time for review if needed, but I really feel the motion to get the call for the board directors out would be nice to get out today, because if we can get that out, we're in May now.
All right.
By the time, if we take another 2 weeks, and then we got 2 weeks to get it out, so then you're into June,
Okay.
then you're into the summer,
Right.
then you're into the election.
Let's do that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking right now, maybe the best thing for us to do is to allow for the lease agreement and the management agreement to be adopted at the next meeting.
Sure.
And then for the release for a call for the board of directors to fulfill the Torbay Museum Corporation board positions.
All right.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah, you're going to have to,
Reverse the motion for management.
Yeah, I can withdraw the motion.
Give me to refer you.
Yeah, you can withdraw it. And
Yeah, I'll withdraw the
just get
motion.
unanimous consent, and I think that's fine. Is Councillor Roach come back in?
Director Schwartz is not in, Chair.
Okay.
Okay. So that's what we'll do.
You might need to take a recess for a few minutes until
I think so.
gather out there and
Should I
submit
do
the.
the motion?
We can, but.
We could just mute the microphones
Yeah.
and leave the streaming on.
Can you do that, Ann?
I can stop the recording.
The last time we did that.
No,
we
I'm
ran
afraid to
out.
do that.
Leave the recording on and just mute all the microphones. Yeah. All right, I'd like to make a motion that we take a brief recess. So
Okay.
moved.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right, welcome back, everybody. A short little recess here. Where were we to? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. So I'm going to withdraw the motion for council to review and adopt the Torbay History House Museum Board of Directors Management Agreement as presented. So moved.
Second.
Do you need me to?
Actually,
move
we
in
just
second?
need to get a unanimous consent for you to withdraw your motion.
Okay.
In favor?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. So we'll defer the two motions in the package for review of the management agreement and the lease agreement until the next meeting. And I will put forward the motion for council to release a call for the board of directors to fulfill the Torbay Museum Corporation board positions. So moved.
Second.
Moved, seconded, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
That's it.
Yeah, just at the point that the EDO was meeting with Rick Comerford, which you joined her for mayor, and she's also got a note here about the new representative for the Northeast Avalon Destination Development Plan. So that's it. The adjournment was 7:11 p.m. and so ends my report.
All right, thank you.
I just got a question here
Go
with
ahead.
regards to the minutes. And I guess looking down over those, the lease agreement and the management agreement, when you went down over them that night, was there any changes made to them? Because I guess with regards to being highlighted, or was that the odd sporadic highlighted in yellow? Is that all that was commented on, or were there actual changes that were made to the agreements?
I'm trying to remember, Mary, from the meeting, if there were any changes that
Actually-
we made during the meeting. I don't recall, Craig, do you?
Those highlighted, those things that are highlighted were only highlighted for our benefit during the meeting as a discussion point that Deanne had a question on, and that would have been the appointment of an auditor with regards to the books and stuff of the museum, as we do for the town when we appoint an auditor. And yeah, that's the only thing that I can remember.
Yeah.
I think she said she updated them based on the feedback that was received from council.
Yeah.
Right.
We had a committee of the whole meeting, and we reviewed this information, and then we took it out to the public for review, and then we came back to committee again and ran through them. And by that point, you know, there had been decent communication about them. So I don't recall us having made many changes in
No, I
that
was just
meeting.
wondering what they were, because
Yeah.
I guess reading down over, it would have been nice what it was before
Yeah.
and what you were suggesting it to change as.
But
And the
Mary-
other thing I had in there, the question that I had, was the Board of Directors. So the Board of Directors report into the CAO. And that's what I'm just wondering if that's what we talked about, or is that what's going to end up happening with this?
The, so just back to your first question first. The first question was, what changes have we made? The majority of the changes that were made were when we brought these documents to committee of the whole for first meeting, when we discussed with council what our changes were. Then we took that out to the first public engagement session, and the second one was canceled. We did motion, you'll recall, to have a second one, but we didn't get enough interest to make that one go. So by the time this documentation got back to committee last go, it had been through committee of the whole where the changes were made, out for public consultation, and now back to committee again. So by the time we got it back, the majority of the feedback to be provided for changes were done and complete. So that's why we didn't have any really significant amount of review at the committee meeting, or during the committee meeting. The second piece of it right now is to get the call for the board directors out. And as you'll recall, conversations that you and I have had about this, we want to make sure that as we're getting this building ready, that we get a staff person in place to work with the consultant who is doing the work that they're doing now, but also to get the board of directors in place so that we're able to have a board of directors in place. And as we discuss this, it is still a community asset. So the board of directors is going to be the entity that runs and operates and
they report into the
looks after it.
CAO.
But they will communicate with the CAO, but the CAO is going to be a communication point for the town with that board, but they're not reporting to the CAO as in answering to the CAO. They're an independent entity that's going to be structured and incorporated, that's going to be a part of, we had this discussion, if this was going to be a board that the town owned and appointed, and that the CAO, they were going to report to the CAO, or is this a board that is going to run that organization as an independent organization, but their point of communication to report into the town has to be the CAO, because the CAO is the senior staff person to speak to them about this. But it's the same as the fire department. They're going to be a separate entity, but the chief speaks and communicates with the CAO on ongoing issues. The chair of the board of
But
the
the
museum
fire
is-
chief reports to the CAO.
But that's the same kind of setup that we're talking about here.
Yeah, and what is the status on the museum curator?
My understanding is that I got a note on that today saying that that's being moved forward. Committee received an email on that today saying that's being moved forward.
Yeah.
So that's what that is.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Infrastructure, Public Works, Councillor Thorngass.
My battery is about gone. Tony says, thank God. That's what happens, see, when I go down too detailed through it all. We had our meeting on the 28th. We didn't have a meeting. This is an update from the director. And I'm just going to look at, and this is basically, I'm going to leave this. The only thing that I got from the director this evening is that the sidewalks information is being sent to Municipal Affairs this week for review and sign off for tender. And I don't think that there's anything else that really, he said that there was something in here with regards to spring, spring cleanup. The date for this year's spring cleanup will be May 27th, 28th, and 29th, and we will be following the same format as last year with touchless drop-offs. An information sheet will be going out shortly. And the other thing that I just wanted to bring up, and when I asked about it earlier, and I guess we got a question on it, and I would just ask, I guess, the director to look at putting some form of a neighborhood cleanup in place, because if that don't take place, if it's not organized by the town, then it normally don't take place. And whatever, we'd be able to try to do something. And I think the mayor also had that question on that earlier. So I think for our next meeting, if we don't mind having some information and some way of organizing that neighborhood cleanup for some Saturday. And it could be in conjunction with whoever, but I think we need to bring in as many other groups as possible, but we still need to coordinate it.
I don't,
Anybody got any questions on any of that in there?
I wouldn't say that if we can organize that community cleanup in the next week, or week, we don't need to bring that back to council. We could just go ahead, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's no time like the present when he wants to get cleaned up.
Can I make a couple points there?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think the idea of the community cleanup being a virtual event this year, maybe what we can do is we can have a hashtag or people taking pictures and maybe some sort of a environmental bag, or I don't know what we have here that we could give as a little gift to or recognize whoever tags himself out doing a community cleanup. If we could take a picture, hashtag Clean Torbay, and have a week where you could do that. And we have our reusable bags or something like that we could, something small that we could have as a, here's what you get, thank you for your contribution kind of thing. Just a nice little way to engage the public and have a little thank you for being a part of a community cleanup. Certainly something that community groups could also be a part of. I do want to ask the question about the sidewalks. It says here that the consultant was preparing the tender documents to be submitted to the Department of Infrastructure and Transportation for final review, and this is the 3rd of May. So I
just gave an update on, that was the one thing that I touched on was sidewalks, and it said, as of this evening, this afternoon, sidewalk information is being sent to Municipal Affairs this week for final review and sign off of tender.
Right. So that's not the question I'm asking, though. The question that I'm asking is, with the update information you provided and what's in the package, what are we looking at realistic timelines? Again, today's the 3rd of May. We're sending this off now for final review. The tender goes out, and I'm curious to know, once we get the documentation from them, what is the turnaround time for us to get the tender out, get it awarded, and get this moving? I'm just trying to get an idea of the timeline coming into the spring of when can we expect ground to be broken on sidewalks? Can you guys give me an idea of what that would be?
I can't answer that right now, but I'll certainly check with the project manager tomorrow. Like I say, I've sent out a number of emails over the last few weeks to council, and thanks to the mayor and committee for responding to those emails. So I was looking for information from all the council, but I didn't get it that way. But so that's what delayed it a bit, but I will have a email after consultant tomorrow to give you that answer.
So Brian, on those emails, I did speak to committee about those, and I'm curious, did we get resolution on those issues?
Which committee?
Public Works. I spoke to Councillor Thorne-Goss about the situation with the sidewalks.
Okay, I didn't get an email back. I was looking for an email back.
Yeah.
But so at the last meeting we decided, I sent another email saying what we had done.
Okay, so the last information that I have on this was that Mayor was going to speak to the MHA and to see where that rolled out, and I'm trying to come up to speed so I understand where we are.
It's all in the
I
emails.
sent an email the other day, and I said that in order for me to set up a meeting with MHA and the minister, I need to get the information back first from committee
Public
about
Works,
what it is that we would bring forward. Because we don't just call it, set up a meeting and not have our information, right? So.
Right, but that's the reason why I'm asking the question, because what I read in that email was an email from the director saying that only parts of what we had asked for in the plan of the sidewalks were going to be there, that there wasn't an allocation there for some of the things that we had asked for. And so what I spoke to Councillor Thorne-Goss about at committee level was to understand what was the plan. So then the understanding that I had was that the mayor was going to speak to the MHA and request a meeting. And now I'm reading in
and
here.
I did that. And he told me that he could set up a meeting for us anytime. I was talking to him 2 weeks ago.
Right, and so my last understanding was that you were requesting information from committee for that meeting.
Right.
But I'm wondering what all that means in relation to and what the timeline looks like with the tender documents going in for final review, those conversations happening, what is a realistic timeline of these sidewalks getting started? Because when June and July start, we're into vacation season, and people are going to want to be taking vacations, and I would really like to get this work started as soon as possible. So I've been asking for quite some time now about where are we on this, so I just want to make sure that we have clear understanding of what the timelines are, what the public can expect, because people are looking forward to these as a pedestrian safety issue, and we've got the funding for it,
Yeah,
right?
I think that.
So do we have resolution, any of that?
There's 3 or 4, 2 or 3 prongs to that, I suppose. Number one is you're referring to the way the project was broken up, I think, in terms of how much we got approved versus what we thought we were getting in the first place, in terms of the separation of the sidewalk not being one contiguous run from start to finish. So in our conversation in committee, we had asked that the project manager be advised to submit the documents in a two-pronged approach for the tender. One part A being what we're actually approved for in the scope of work as per the correspondence back from Municipal Affairs, and the other part to include the section of sidewalk that will include the lights. Upon first review, and Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, upon first review, it looks like the estimated cost of the project is going to be significantly less than what we had allowed for in the first place, such that our portion, even if we take on and we're expecting somewhere in the area of, say $150,000 for the portion of sidewalk and the safety lights around the fire hall, that we'll have enough money included in our budget figures already to cover that off anyway under financing, given the fact that the original project is going to come in under budget. The discussion with the minister will be to see if we can't avail of all the funding so that we can actually extend the remainder part of the sidewalk so that it is fully connected as one piece. So that's the discussion, because there's a underlying, I guess the approval body being the federal government has some refined scope or clearly defined scope that they don't care to go beyond now. And I don't know if that's a function of Municipal Affairs or whether it's a function of direction from Canada as the funding agency at the time. So that's the conversation we need to have with the minister. But that shouldn't hold up the process. The process is still going, and once it gets into Municipal Affairs, they should turn that around fairly quickly. I don't think they'll have much time with it. The other part will be once the information goes to tender, it'll probably be, let's say 2 to 4 weeks for the tender to return. Then once the contracts are signed, there'll be a kickoff meeting and start date that will give some leeway to the contractor. I would think, looking at it, would be probably you're looking at mid-June or later before it starts, I would think, realistically. And that's only best guess, because you still don't know until you actually get the tender back, and once the tender is approved, you're going to have a window for a start date, and the contractor will be operating within that window. And my experience with contractors has been they usually leave it to the latter part of that window to get things moving.
And I think
but once they start, they usually go fairly quickly. So.
I think to your point too, right, we can't forget that we had an 8-week election when we were only supposed to have a 3-week election. So there was really nothing moving in municipal affairs in terms of contracts getting, and this was something that was raised by M&L and other towns around the province about how projects were moving forward as quickly as we would hope, simply because the government was in caretaker mode. So,
Right.
there's a bunch of things there.
So the question I have, though, is where did it change from what we had understood as a council, that we were going to start budgeting for Ridge and go all the way down to Man's Lane? Where did it change from? Now we've only got 2 sections and we don't have a certain area.
That was the motion we passed here at council.
Yeah,
never
so
did go
that was all
man's
outlined in
lane.
those emails.
We passed that motion here at the council to do those 2 sections.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so where did the communication change, though? Because my understanding was that we were going to go back and look for the extension to Man's Lane. That was what I understood that we were going to do. Did we talk about doing that on our own time?
We talked about that was the overall objective from start to finish, but in this piece of funding,
Yeah.
when we passed our motion, we had our estimates and we figured we could do that piece and that piece and would fit within that. However, as Tony pointed out, that the cost came back lower. And
that's what it was.
The communication
Yes.
is they will not go beyond the scope of what we
Right.
passed to let us spend the rest of that money to go further.
Gotcha.
And this
Now
portion
I'm
that's
clear.
federal money as
Yeah.
well.
Yes.
So that's where
The
hiccup is.
outside
I
province.
understand now. It's clarification around that I wanted to make sure I understood, because
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tricky business that we follow when we do these estimates about tenders and funding, because you get that letter, right? The letter that you always get is, if the cost exceeds the amount of funding, the town is responsible 100% for any overruns.
yeah.
But they never ever tell you this other piece, that if it goes less than what you allocated,
Get turned back.
then we're taking back the money. They never ever tell you that piece.
Yeah.
Right, so it's a very delicate balancing act that we have to do.
Gotcha. And one more question about the water treatment for North Pond. So Wood has submitted the funding application on behalf of the town for this project. What's the scope, Brian? What are we doing with that?
That's $7 million, I think, isn't it?
I think it's just over 8, actually. So that's what they actually presented that to all council a good while back before we submitted it, after council made a motion.
Yeah,
So it's the water treatment for North Pond.
okay.
And it was refined back from the original scope, I think it was like 12 million, 12, 13 million.
Yeah.
And we refined it back because, remember when we met with the minister at the time, and MHA,
Yes, yeah,
that they said we need to refund those costs.
right. Okay, so that's what this is. I just want to
Yeah,
clarify.
yeah, and that's been same for the last couple of meetings.
Yeah.
Because there is no movement now, we're waiting. I think those funding announcements probably come out in June, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure that I understood.
Yeah,
That's
no worries.
what that was. Perfect, thanks.
All right.
Yep, good.
Recreation and Community Services, Councilor Martin.
Thank you. I just have an update. And I skipped ahead to my fire department report. Thank you. This is for tonight's meeting. Recreation and Community Services Program registration is open for May and June 2021. Registration is going well. May and June 2021 program event calendars. Calendars are mailed out to residents by the end of this week. Summer camp, as it relates to summer staff, interviews have been completed and positions filled for summer camp. Registrations for summer camp will begin in May 2021. Softball group teams are returning this year with COVID-19 protocols in place. Signage has been requested with Infrastructure and Public Works, age-friendly grant. Staff are meeting and working with the Economic Development Officer on this application. Communities in Bloom, Torbay will be involved in the 2021 CIB National Virtual Program. Again this year, the town will complete with other towns in provinces across Canada of similar population. Deadline for submission of pictures is June 30th. The Chief Mcgraw Award, as Mayor Scott touched base on earlier. Planning for this award underway between the towns of Torbay and Flat Rock. This is a volunteer award for youth in the community, various age groups and school leaving year. Committee will be in place. Information will go to residents soon. Killicoast Regional Games. The 2021 games will be taking place in the town of Floggy Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove. As it relates to COVID-19, the return to play plan for the 2021 Killicoast Regional Games have been approved by Public Health. The town of Floggy Bay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove requires the town of Torbay's confirmation and approval of participation, and that ends my update. Thank you.
Murray, thank you. Any questions?
I think it's great that the Killicoast Regional Games is on the docket again this year, and hopefully, if everyone stays safe and follows
Makes it through.
protocol, we'll be able to have all our children in the towns get together to have that, because it's a great set of games that allows for great activity over summer. Just pray we don't have to go on another lockdown.
It is, but to that point that you make, it's scary every day when you look at the update. More cases, you know? So,
I think, though, that, with the experience that we have now with running children's sports, I mean, I've had conversations with the town of Flat Rock, which is awesome, are interested to offer their soccer program this year. So Marion reached out and said, I know you guys have offered soccer in Torbay last year. how'd you go about it, you know, and we've been having conversations about how we did it safely. And so I think regions are working together and learning from past experience. And by the time the Killick Coast Games happen, you know, most of our communities will have had some activities that they're running and experience with it. So cohorting the teams, cohorting groups, the temperature checking, the cleanliness, the contact tracing, all those things are in place, and we have an understanding of what to do with that. So I think that's fabulous.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be able to go ahead.
Yeah.
Mayor Scott?
Yeah,
The town of Logie Bay Middle Cove Outer Cove requires the town's confirmation of participation.
Yeah.
I don't think that we've done a motion of council in the past, but is council in agreement that I proceed and advise him that the town will participate?
I think if all the other towns are going to participate, then, and it's going to be proven to be safe, that we should make our commitment to do it too, right, based on COVID.
Yeah. I think that's perfectly a sound idea. I mean, there would be a COVID safety plan that will be required for the games to happen.
Yeah.
So as long as that's in place, yeah.
So the Killick Coast Games Committee are looking after that, right? Like, we're working with them? Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Liaison committees. Atlantic Mayors Congress, as everybody knows, we were supposed to host Atlantic Mayors Congress here in Torbay in May 2021, like in a couple of weeks. And unfortunately, because of the COVID situation, we canceled that as the Board of Directors of Atlantic Mayors. We talked about it and we decided not to move forward with it. And I think that that was probably a good idea, you know, and I don't think that we need to rescind our motion that we were going to host it because it's canceled, so there's really not much we can do. However, the board did ask us if we would be interested in doing the basically the same thing in May of 2022, and I suggested I would bring it back to council, and I gave notice of motion last meeting that I was going to bring forward a motion, and Councillor Pollard has it for me now to put forward. Go ahead.
Your Worship. Resolve that the town of Torbay confirm interest in hosting the May 2022 Atlantic Mayors Conference. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you. We'll be sure to let them know. Intergovernmental Affairs, Federal, Provincial, Municipal, I kind of gave that update earlier about the regard to the post office. As soon as we hear back any additional information, when I get the letter back from them, I will circulate it to council so that everybody's aware. Jack Byrne, Councillor Pollard.
Thank you, Your Worship. We met last Thursday night. Yes, I think last Thursday night. I was tasked with the something I never do is take minutes, and anyone who knows me will know why. Once they see the minutes, they'll know why again. So there you go. But the bad part about it was when you're taking minutes, you're not used to getting things hurled at you, and which was. But it was all in fairness, I guess. On a high note or low note from last year, I guess really the arena is has about a $65,000 operating loss for the year. The financial statement should be finished soon, but that's what the indications are. To May of this year, it looks like it's going to be somewhere in the area of break even overall. And it looks like the ice will be coming off the 15th of May. There are, obviously they had the market there over the weekend, and it looked like it had a pretty good turnout. They're going to reinstate the outdoor bingo again, the drive-in bingo, which was a great revenue generator. Thomas Amusement is going to be there as well, and of course that came with the requirement that Logie Bay Middle Cove, Outer Cove, or Thomas Amusements come and do something about the noise of the generators in relation to Logie Bay Middle Cove, Outer Cove. That was discussed. The big areas of discussion were two things really that related directly to us, and the first one being the lease agreement and how that is not signed yet by the towns. And I know Mayor Thorne was pretty upset about that not being signed, and you know, not understanding why it wasn't signed. They signed theirs. On the same note, they also responded saying that we as town of Torbay didn't pay our share of the subsidy that they had requested. And Mayor Thorne again was the outspoken person on that. And, you know, I said, I'm not sure exactly how you do your business. I said, but, you know, I don't necessarily agree with paying cash when there's cash already available. However, there is that pressure from the rest of the groups because it did, and Pooch Cove as well paid, and Logan Milk Water Cove has approved, just waiting to do the check. So we're going to bring it back to finance to have the discussion overall. So I guess from that perspective, the cash that was there, I had asked some information and I got that back from Lauren today in terms of motions that were done in 2013 relating to them setting aside a certain dollar value of reserves for emergency situations for 3 groupings of funds, capital severance and another one, I don't know right off the top of my head, I can't remember, but that was where that money that I saw there as being locked up investments was related to. So we may have to take a look at that and see what comes out. But it's going to be month by month. Obviously, COVID and how they operate will certainly determine how successful or not we are. You know, the grants have been extended to the end of September anyway for the staff subsidies and that. And the loan that we had gotten earlier the year from the federal government in relation to COVID is not repayable till 2023 or something along those lines. So we still have some room for breathing. But I mean, as a you know, a seat on the Jack Byrne Arena, I still think we have to push for that self-sufficiency really hard in terms of COVID, because you know it's probably the worst example of a year when we need to, you know, keep our town-owned facilities going, and we know that the pains that we have with, you know, the community centre in terms of staff and the whole work around that. And Jack Byrne, kudos to the staff there. They did a great job during COVID to keep the place operational and actually maximize the usage when it came down to how many people you're allowed in place. So anyway, in a nutshell, the last year wasn't a great year. So far this year we should be break even to the end of April. It looks like we might have a loss, you know, in the next couple of months or so, but it's something that I think all the towns are going to have to face. So we'll bring that back to finance anyway and discuss what our response to that will be moving forward, and bring that back to council for further discussion.
All right.
That's it on that, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. To your point about the lease agreement, I did reach out to Legabay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove, and Flat Rock and Pooch Cove. This is something that was on our agenda before. It was circulated to council for feedback, and I guess, you know, since the pandemic came in and stuff, it never really made it back around. I circulated it Thursday or Friday, I'm not sure which day it was. Anyway, I'm hoping that we can get together this week, probably either Tuesday night or Wednesday night for an hour, just to go down through that thing, identify any issues that we have, because I have a meeting scheduled for Thursday night with Mayor Hickey, Mayor Thorne, and Mayor Vardy to talk about this, and I'd like to have council's input to bring back there and say this is the issues that our council has or doesn't have with this agreement as it stands, and then we can move it forward from there and get this done. I don't want to leave this for the next council to have to deal with. I think it's it should be pretty simple. I don't think it's an onerous thing, but there are a couple of things in there that I identified myself that I didn't particularly agree with, but at the time when I was looking at it, I was looking at it from the perspective of a member of the board of operating the Jack Byrne Arena. So from my perspective as a board member, I didn't like it. But from my perspective as a mayor now, not being a board member, it might be a different story. So, you know.
So just to be clear,
Yep.
we're going to plan a meeting in the next 2 days to...
Just our council.
Yeah, to review the document.
Yep.
Then you're going to meet with the mayors to have a discussion about what's happening from that perspective.
Yep.
And have you received a copy of the approved draft from Flat Rock or Pooch Cove?
Yeah, I got the one from Legabay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove that day.
Right, that's the one Paul sent.
And I got
but-
one from Flat Rock too.
Okay, so we want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples because
Yep.
we're different versions of that. So so we're reviewing the one that Legabay, Middle Cove, Outer Cove shared with us, which is the one that you've circulated.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, sounds good to me.
All right? I mean, we should be able to go down through that pretty quickly. It's already been legally reviewed, so I don't think there's much that we can do to make it.
Why don't you pick a date now or a night so that we're all here and we
Can we do it?
can do it?
Can we do it tomorrow night?
I
Whenever,
might have to
like,
join
that's
by
something
phone.
that's important, so whenever
Okay.
majority of people.
We can discuss that in committee of the whole.
All right, we'll talk about it. All right, moving on.
So that you can get a consensus here now, though, if you can,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, we can do it tomorrow night.
yes,
I'll be
okay,
fine.
so, all right.
Tony?
I won't be here in person, but I'll be on the phone. My kids are home.
I believe, Director Schwartz, we have a TEAC meeting tomorrow night, or is that an alternate night? I'm just looking at my calendar here.
I believe it will be shifted by 2 weeks, so the meeting
Oh,
will
okay,
be.
so I could just delete it.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine.
All right, okay.
I'm fine.
So we got enough?
You good tomorrow night?
What time?
6:30?
6:30?
Is that all right for everybody?
Sure,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll join by phone.
You can
Right,
order
okay.
supper.
Oh,
By phone,
Yeah, by phone, order that.
DoorDash.
all right.
You can call DoorDash.
Thank you guys for that. Northeast Avalon Joint Council, Councilor Dorngas.
Nothing, there hasn't been a meeting since the last one.
Okay,
Makes sense,
RNC.
don't it? Hmm?
I haven't had, I'll probably reach out and find out when our next meeting is. I'll reach out and find out when our next committee meeting is for the traffic patrol, particularly with spring coming now and the cars and bikes and pedestrians getting out on the street. So it's probably important. I'll send an email to them tomorrow and see when our next meeting is. Torbay Volunteer Fire Department, Councilor Martin.
Thank you. Last meeting was on April 25th. There were 5 calls, 1 electrical, 1 medical, 2 alarms, and unfortunately that water matter in Flat Rock. Next meeting's on May 9th, and I'll be in attendance. That ends my report. And minutes are closed, sorry.
Fire Department still meeting virtually?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
So,
Where are we? UMC, we'll be meeting in a couple days when the M&L symposium. So, an update after that. Notice of motion. Nope. New business. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. I wanted to say thank you to the staff at FCM. I was given the opportunity to review scholarships for FCM's Canada Women in Municipal Government scholarships, and it was absolutely brilliant to see young women who are involved in their communities, and some of these are tremendous leaders who are involved, and they're from the different provinces, and just the way that they're engaged in their community and what they're doing. It was such a wonderful experience to look at what they're doing, and I actually had my daughter come with me for part of the presentation to look at it and see what kind of energy and just vibrancy these girls brought to the community. So I wanted to say thank you for the opportunity to do that. I also wanted to remind everybody that FCM has its virtual conference and trade show happening from May 31st to June 4th. And the early bird registration is May the 14th. So I think it's a good time for those who may not have been able to attend in the past to check it out and see what it's about. There's great opportunities for networking, meeting members of municipal councils from all across Canada. And some of these networks are great because you can reach out and say, hey, what's your experience? And I know from my participation on the board, when we're talking about rural issues or any other issues, it's really interesting to see how many things that we have in common with municipalities from all across the country. I'd like to extend a congratulations to our staff at M&L. We're gearing up for the symposium, which is going to start Thursday, Friday of this week and run for the weekend. And I know there's been a lot of work that's gone into making the second event, the big virtual event that we're going to be hosting. So I just want to congratulate M&L for finding ways to still make the business of M&L happen, for us to be able to do these board elections now next weekend, and to and to run another virtual session, because it's not easy. It's a lot of work. We had to think very differently about how we were connecting and how the information was going to put together, and how do you develop these sessions in a way that makes sense. So I think that's been great work, and I just wanted to say congratulations to the staff, because I know they're getting close to having that put together, and looking forward to participating in that the weekend. And if anyone hasn't registered yet and you're interested, please do so. It's going to be a fabulous session. So that's it from my perspective.
Thank you. Councillor Martin.
Thank you. I wanted to express a thank you to Ed Brennan for his service with the town, but we already did that earlier. So so that's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Councillor Roach.
Oh, I just want to thank Ed and for all his services over the years, and because he was fantastic. I love it. So that's it.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Goss.
I guess to thank Ed, and that it was nice to see him come in, because I guess we kind of thought that he wouldn't have been in for his presentation. But I want to say a big thank you to Jack. Here I go again. No. I don't know, but I'm after missing something on all this. But anyway, I just want to really thank you for your contribution to the town and the finance department. I just wrote it here in case I might get like this, but anyway, your reporting and your organization is the best. And I really think that, it's going to be missed here within the town. You started off something so great, and I would like to see it continue. And you're going to be missed, your expertise and what have you. So I wish you all the best, but I'm kind of selfish in my own ways, because I don't like to see people leave when they're good. Anyway, thank you so much for everything. I know.
Councillor Pollard.
That was my thank you as well. I want to thank Jacqueline for her time here, and I can't say it any better than Mary has in terms of the contribution and the certain change in terms of the professionalism from the information we've gotten on a regular basis. Certainly made my life a lot easier when you come budget time, things of that nature too, so I certainly appreciate that. I wish you all the best in your new undertakings. I'm sure you'll do fantastic there, and that'll provide many opportunities for you to see many other types of businesses rather than this show that we run here, is that what I say, right? So I just want to say thanks a million, and I wish you all the best in the future.
I reiterate what they both just said.
Oh, back to me. Jack and I reiterate that. Thank you. And I know that you work hard, and Tony and the deputy mayor are not easy to work with. But yeah, I wish you all the luck in your new job, and I'm sure you'll do great. What else was I going to talk about? Oh yes, we have our birthdays for May. I forgot about it earlier. Paul Maloney, Infrastructure Public Works. His birthday is on the 3rd. We're in May, right? Okay.
Or May.
Doug Powell, Planning and Development. His birthday's on the 5th, and Jason Penny, Public Works, birthday on the 31st of May. Happy birthday, and have a safe birthday. And one thing that I want to bring up, and I think that we kind of touched on it a little bit when Deputy Mayor was talking about symposium coming up, and our municipal elections are going to be coming up in the fall. And I think that, we're fortunate here that we have a pretty balanced council, and we have, our last term of council was balanced in terms of number of men and women on it. And I think that this year, 2021, is the 100th anniversary of the right of women to vote in St. John's in the first municipal election. So I think that, that's something that we should recognize. And, we all have an opportunity, and it's a right to go to the polling booth or get your ballot in the mail or however you choose to vote, but to get out and do it, and also in that same vein, if you want to serve on a council, you know, don't hesitate. Step forward and do it. It's a lot of enjoyment here. There's a lot of things that happen that's not so enjoyable, but you hope that the highs outweigh the lows. And, you know, we all have in our hearts the best for the community. That's why we sit around here. That's why we do the things we do. You know, somebody might not always agree with us, and that's fine. You know, if everybody always agreed, there'd be no reason to have any elections. You know, we could just do whatever. So anyway, I just wanted to point those things out and say thank you to everybody, and that's that. And don't miss out on your opportunity to go and place your X down for somebody. All right. Q&A, have a question. And Deputy Mayor, while I was going through my phone while you were talking, it wasn't to ignore you. It was I had to check out this question for the Q&A.
Well, if I forgive you, give me one quick second.
Yeah.
Jacqueline, I'm very sorry I didn't get a chance to thank you, but Craig is right. We're not always the easiest to work with, and you handled us with grace. So I just want to say thank you.
I was joking about that, right?
We all know the difference.
All right,
Speak
so
for
I have
yourself
a-
over there, you.
I have a question here for the second Q&A, and it's about the quarry and Bally line. I'll read out the question, and I'll have to see how I can frame my answer. But it's from Ronnie O'Neill, and he has a question for council regarding the quarry. Why do council keep accepting the same application, and why it keeps getting appealed when it's been denied for over 20 years? Local residents don't want. We're told there will be no more quarries in the area, and it's actually a few members of council trying to get this developed, even though it's in a slope greater than 50%, doesn't meet buffers, and doesn't meet municipal plan or mineral workings. So, Ronnie, thank you for your question. I know this is not going to sound like you want to hear, but I really can't speak to that because we're in appeal process. But I will speak to this, though, in terms of applications and why the town would accept applications. When an application comes to the town for whatever it is, let's use the one at 51 Norapan Road for an example, because it's one that a lot of people in that area are not in favor of. So we get an application comes, it meets our regulations, fits within the zone. Council is obligated to take that and look at it. Whether we approve it or not that ultimately turns out to be a decision of council. In most cases,